And so like we moved around quite a bit when I was younger, and with my mum we moved to this certain place. I think I was about 15 at the time, and I started to go to the new high school, and it wasn't great. But man, there was this girl there, and she was just perfect. Completely fell in love with her. She was called Ali. Only problem was she was kind of half seeing some other guy at the same time who was a little bit of a dick. His name was Johnny. He once tried to set about me, and of all people, it was actually the local handyman that looked after our apartment complex that saved me from getting my ass kicked by this Johnny guy, and he completely destroyed them. And so now I'm learning how to do karate from this guy who's just randomly a handyman for our apartment. It's crazy.
For the first time, I actually know what this is. I think.
I am still. What?
Oh, Mint might not know this one. The Karate Kid.
No, she started to say it, I think.
Oh, I don't know many references to things. It's a point of contention.
It's a pretty old film now, actually.
People.
I don't know when it came out.
That was like,
early 1980s?
Yeah, it was like 80, 84.
84? Yeah.
82.
Haven't there been like remakes of things?
There was
a remake in 2010, I think it was. I saw it in theaters, so I remember
was
this.
Was that the Jaden Smith version?
Yeah, it has Will Smith's son and Jackie Chan.
That one. I think that's the one that I saw.
But that's kung fu, not karate, as well. I think.
Well, yeah. I think they still called it the Karate Kid, though. Which is kind of random.
I think they did. It was interesting. Sure. It was interesting. But the original was Ralph Macchio. Although I think they've actually revised that as a Netflix TV series now. I think Karate Kid, the cast from the original film, including the guy who played Johnny Lawrence, I think they're all actually in the TV show now on Netflix.
Oh, that's
or maybe it's
quite
YouTube
awesome.
Prime. Yeah, something like that.
Someone in chat will know. That sounds like a show I need to watch, though. I'm a really big fan.
A few people got it.
I'm really big fan of cheesy.
Got it. Axop got it as well. I think Jack Static got it first because he knew as soon as I mentioned the names Ali and Johnny, he was like, all right, I know who this is. He knew. Sean is saying I should try Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I used to do a lot of Taekwondo actually when I was younger.
Oh, that's what that stood for.
You did Taekwondo?
Is that food?
Oh man.
Oh no.
Oh man, we're already getting the Minterly Kex in chat too. I've been seeing a lot of this around the top Clack server too. Zui in particular loves that emote.
Dewey loves that emote. Okay, I know. You need to be quiet now. I'm so sorry about my dog.
No, it's all good. We're chill here. This is a friendly stream. Pets are very much allowed.
Yeah, she's
my dog's asleep on the couch just at the side of me.
Oh, hey, you have a dog. What is there to worry about? Axe murderers.
She wouldn't do anything.
She'd run away.
Before the stream, guys, Minterly kind of like terrified me a little bit because I'm down at the warehouse for prototypists in a minute, and she was like, "Oh, what if there's an axe murderer?" And it's like, "Oh, great, I feel wonderful and safe now."
It's 2 a.m.
I don't want to walk around in the.
He's empty. He's in an empty 2,000. Well, not empty, but like empty of people. 2,000 square foot warehouse in the middle of the somewhere. I don't know.
It's an industrial estate, so it's just like an industrial estate, yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, that's how scary movies start. You know, there's like some axe scraping along the metal, and then I should stop now.
I've had to lock the door because I was scared after you said all this, and it was like terrifying me. Because it's 2 a.m.
I watch a lot of true crime.
It's in the middle of nowhere.
So sorry.
I need you to stop scaring my co-host, please.
I'm so sorry.
And
just kidding, scare her more.
Snoring her head off. I'm surprised you can't hear it because she's absolutely snoring her head off. But she
I
won't
love
do anything.
Snoring dogs.
Yeah.
Oh man, Stash in the house, raiding with a party of 30 before we even start. Thank you so much,
man.
Stash. Thank you very much.
Glad to have you.
I do appreciate that, Stash. It's very, very kind of you.
Stash is super awesome.
He's a nice guy. See, even Doggo agrees that Stash is a nice guy.
Is that
annoying?
Is that Muse or is that?
No, that's Siren.
That's Siren. That's
she
right.
wants pats. I was giving her chest rubs and I stopped. Okay, I stopped to like pay attention to you guys, and she's like, "No, I'm the queen here."
That's right. That's how it goes.
Yep. She's got everyone wrapped around her little paw.
How do the audio levels sound to everyone in chat before we get started here? I want to make sure everything is going swimmingly. I think I got them right, but usually when I have them right, something's wrong. So please let me know,
did
chat.
listen back for the first couple of minutes. It sounded all right to me. I usually don't do that.
Everyone sounds good.
Quake, you're a little bit quiet. I'm a little quiet? Really?
Brian's always quiet. He's just a quiet guy. Penguin drop-ins as well, also scaring me. He says, Jay, don't listen to her. Everyone is a murderer. So now if I see anyone...
That's what I realized, like, with all these true crime videos that I've been watching, is like, you know how that, like, creepy old dingy house with the weird-looking curtains is usually, like, the murder house? What I've realized is that anyone can be... Like, there's people that just snap one day and then, like, kill somebody that they're angry at for no reason. So I was, like, walking down oh my god, I'm so sorry. I was, like, walking down the neighborhood and I was like, anyone in these houses could have a dead body in their basement and we wouldn't know.
Okay, so true story time. This is kind of semi-related, and it's not a film. I promise this is a true story. So when I was in college, so this is like late 1990s, early 2000s, I had a friend called Polly, and her boyfriend, they bought a house together straight after they finished college. A couple of years older. They bought a house together after they finished college.
Where this is going.
I'm scared.
The house had a basement. So we have loads of old buildings here in the UK. Like houses that are 100 years old isn't really that much of a big deal. Like we have a lot of old houses here, and these houses were in like what used to be an old mining village. So these were from the colliery where people used to mine for coal and stuff like that. And the houses were probably 150 years old, Victorian houses, something like that. So they all had basements and some sort of underground room underneath where storage used to happen, and people used to keep stuff down there. Like it used to be where people kept their larders and stuff before fridges were invented. They used to have like a stone cold slab, and they'd all be kept in the basement. And when they first moved in, they started to like do the place up as you do. So they stored a lot of stuff in the basement. They brought it out as they needed it, and then after a while, they decided they were going to turn the basement into a room. So they had this old stone slab, which was used as the fridge in the 1800s before we had electricity. Because the idea was it was a freezing cold slab of stone, and you put your milk on it or whatever, it would stay cold.
Oh, that's actually quite interesting.
Yeah, that's what they used to do. So they ripped this out, this big piece of stone, because they wanted to actually use it in the living room for the fireplace. Okay. And have it kind of like as a decoration. And as they took it up, they realized that a lot of the floor was really uneven. So when they actually cleared everything out and looked at the floor itself and everything, there was one section of the room that wasn't like a concrete floor, it was just sand. And when they got someone to dig down into the sand to see what was under there, all they kept finding was women's handbags and pairs of shoes. Nothing else, no bones or anything else, just loads of handbags and pairs of shoes. And it turned out they were all from prostitutes in the area. But yeah.
What?
No dead body. No dead bodies. No. Don't know. No idea. The police never solved it. They moved out of the house quite quickly, as I'm sure you can imagine. Yeah, there was just handbags and shoes that were buried in this dirt, and like dozens of pairs of shoes.
Yeah, that's creepy. Do they ever like tie it to like missing like cold cases or anything, or just
they found a few that were related to prostitutes that had gone missing in the area, but nothing else.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Apex says, "What did I walk in on?"
I know, right? Yeah.
This is quite a conversation.
I should have started the show with this instead of doing a film. I should have started the show with this story.
We haven't even
true story.
We haven't even officially started the show yet. We're talking about like murders and missing people. This is an episode, ladies and gentlemen.
I will take all the blame. I have been watching way too many true crime videos.
It's not your fault. This Visionaire's still salty because I got him last week with the shark attack. He thought that was real.
Oh my god.
But this story is completely and utterly real. Yeah, my friend Polly and her boyfriend. I think he was called Andrew. I think. I don't know. I didn't really know him very well, but yeah, this was like 2001, something like that. Long time.
Wow, that's. I would get out of there. That's
Kakan says, "What if they found cherry MY boards instead?"
Oh my god!
Then I probably wouldn't be in this hobby right now.
People are talking about GMK serial killer, GMK crime scene. All right,
Cat Unsolved Mystery. I actually like that one.
That's a great name.
Key set name. Yeah.
GMK Cold Case. All right, so is this the next Mintos project that we're gonna see?
Oh my. Maybe not. That's a little dark.
That's probably for the best.
Just a little bit. Like, what would the novelties be like?
Like
I don't even think we should talk about what the novelties could be like.
Yeah, maybe we should stop here.
Maybe we should officially start the stream and talk about something keyboard related.
Oh my god.
I mean, this is kind of keyboard related.
That's true. All
We're
right.
making a key set on the fly. That's
Oh, okay.
That's how Mintos came about, except with a dark twist.
Infinity crime tape.
No,
oh my god. People are coming up with some great names though. I like the Unsolved Mysteries one though, I gotta be honest.
Body mark is a novelty, a chalk body mark. That'd be quite cool.
Oh my god. Ongoing events. Okay, now we're gonna roll the intro. We're gonna start the show. I'm getting lost in Twitch chat here.
Alibi.
Some of these are really good, so I'm just gonna
Can someone
I really
clip all
like
these names and save them for me?
yeah,
Unsolved Mystery.
yeah, next time someone needs a key set name, they should come back to this part of the episode here and just steal right from chat.
Yes.
Alright.
GMK person of intro.
You guys are all crazy. Salmon Defoe.
I don't even want to know what the novelties would be. I just no, thank you.
That's scary.
Yeah,
all right.
I feel even less safe here now.
Yeah, Minterly has got you freaked out today, Jay.
Yes, yeah, really.
Welcome to my life. I'm in a perpetual state of paranoia.
I'm tempted to pause the stream and go unlock the gate to the industrial unit. It's like, yeah.
He's gonna go find like a weapon.
I'm terrified.
Not gonna lie, how dark can we get on this show? I don't know, is there a limit?
I mean, as long as it's not against terms of service, I guess we're good.
Okay, well, so you know how like you hear horror stories of like internet stalking and things like that? Like sometimes I wonder, what if I get like a crazy stalker on the internet and I'm like streaming and somebody breaks into my house and like does something to me while I'm streaming, and then I'm like streaming and like freaking out thinking about this. It's just, I don't know. I should stop watching these things, obviously.
I think you should maybe tone down the true crimes a little bit.
Yeah, you need to watch some cartoons or something, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta watch some of the Family Guy.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna roll the intro. We're gonna start the show for real.
Let's talk about keyboards.
Yeah, talk about keyboards. Yeah, definitely.
Welcome to this week's episode of Top. Oh, is that the first time you've seen it?
Yeah, she doesn't watch the show.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, she's got other things going on. That's fair. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Top Clack. I am your host Quakemz, joined as usual by my wonderfully lovely co-host Jay. And today we have a very special guest, as you can probably see on your screen. We have the one, the only Minterly. How are you guys doing today?
Well, I'll let me go first.
Oh, I'm doing good. It's
aside from the
warm.
paranoia,
California is on fire. You know, same old, just California things.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really warm here as well. But I think, as we talked before the show, our levels of what's warm on a day are two very different kind of scales.
I think you guys would both be very miserable here.
I've been to California a handful of times, and every time that I've been there in the summer, I have wanted to just basically die. It was
I don't think
way too hot.
You would not fare well in like Taiwan, or maybe like even. Have you ever been to Hawaii in the summer?
No.
It's very humid.
Hawaii. I have been to Thailand, and that's awful. Like you can't cope with the.
Like you can't even breathe.
It's basically sweat city. You just it's almost impossible to breathe.
Like you shower and then you're like covered in sweat.
Yeah, and then when the rain comes down, it's weird though, right? Because when I was in Thailand, the heavens opened for maybe 20 minutes, and there was like a foot of water running down the street, and then an hour later it was completely gone, and everywhere it was just normal again. It was really weird. Weird. That's kind of normal.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Man, someone in chat says UK has been boiling recently.
It has, yeah.
Boiling. 80 degrees is not hot.
Hey, 80 degrees.
It is when you consider that our average temperature is like 40 degrees Fahrenheit, right? When you consider that's our average, and then to double the temperature.
That's crazy. I think I would freeze in 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Like California does not get that cold. That's pretty crazy to think about.
The coldest days you have are hotter than our hottest days. When I was looking it up, like your coldest average day is hotter than our hottest average day, which kind of puts it into some perspective for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think I would like it. Honestly, I'll move there. Sign me up. I'm ready to get out of here.
I certainly couldn't handle living in California. I sweat here during the summer, and like 80 is like a reasonably hot day here.
Yeah,
I've
but
only
did
been
you hear
to California
Sorry?
once, and that was last year after I met you in Seattle, Brian. And I had to get a flight back, but it was from California, so I flew from Seattle to California, then from California back over. And someone suggested, I can't remember who it think, it might have been Ray, suggested you need to go to In-N-Out Burger while you're there because it's just outside the airport. So I did that, and I literally thought I would walk, and
Did
I almost
you
died.
fly through San Jose?
I couldn't tell you which one it was actually. I'd have to look it up. I don't know.
Oh,
the
interesting.
name of the airport. But there was an In-N-Out Burger literally about 5 minutes walk away from the airport. I think it was. It was like really close. It was like across the road and down the street a little bit. It wasn't far at all. So someone who knows might be able to tell me which one that was. But like that short distance to the In-N-Out Burger was crazy hot. It was like I don't know how I survived.
You walk outside, you're pouring sweat, and you're like, I gotta go shower again.
Yeah, and I had my suitcase with me and everything else, and it was like a whole thing. And yeah, I didn't. So I had like 4 hours between flights before I had to check back in, and I just literally went to the In-N-Out Burger, and I didn't leave until I had to go back for my flight because it was just too hot to go back outside without air conditioning. I had to stay there. So yeah.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
Or maybe it wasn't.
Wait, but like,
maybe it wasn't.
What is your typical attire though? Because I feel like people in California are like basically wearing shorts and flip flops at all times in the year. Like that's what people are used to, like tank tops, like road tanks, and I don't know what are they called, like cargo shorts and like flip flops. Like that's what people wear here.
Yeah, I think I was wearing jeans
like
and a t-shirt
long.
because I was traveling. Yeah, it was really warm. It was horrible.
Yeah.
No, it was In-N-Out Burger. It was 100% In-N-Out Burger.
Yeah, well, there's In-N-Out Burgers all over California.
Yeah. Someone in chat said it wasn't. They didn't have In-N-Out there, but yeah, I don't know which airport it was at. I can't remember.
Anyway, shall we talk about some keyboard stuff?
Yeah, let's do it.
I think a lot of people, not everyone, I imagine, but most people are probably here for some kind of keyboard discussion in some format. So we do. Okay, you're right. I'm not going to speak for anyone here. However,
what
we
are
do have
keyboards?
Yeah, that's certainly not why we're all here.
Musical instruments. You've got one in the background, Minterly. It's a musical instrument. There you go.
You actually have a keyboard behind you. Wow.
I do. I'm trying to relearn it. I haven't played in like several years, and I'm really bad now.
Nice. All right. Well, so we're gonna have a couple things to discuss today, and before we get into the kind of meat and potatoes, as it were, of a little bit of mental health within the community discussion, we're gonna start out with something a little bit lighter, if you can call it that. We're gonna talk about some mistakes that we've made and how we kind of overcame them. And you want to start us out, Jay? Oh, actually, wait. I'm gonna put out, since we have these fancy new tiles here. I'm gonna put this on. Bam, there you go. We're talking about our first time making a big mistake in the community and what we did about it. Isn't that cute?
Our first time.
No, there's no pun there at all. No pun at all. So, Jay, why don't you tell us about a big mistake that you've made in the hobby and what you did to work through it?
Yeah. Okay. So a lot of people might remember this, but I think the first thing that I ever did of notoriety in the community was the Hyper 7. So if you guys haven't seen this, it's a huge battleship kind of keyboard with 213 switches, I think, in it, and like some of the switches had one key across 2 switches and things like that. It was this whole kind of vintage inspired project that a couple of us in the UK did. So I built one of those, and after posting it on Reddit and getting a stupid number of upvotes, people wanted to buy this. I thought, I'll just run it as a small group buy. This is nice and easy, dead easy to have it produced. It's a PCB and a plate. People can make their own case. Let's just go for that. And the mistake came when it came to the plates. So I originally used one company in the UK that doesn't exist anymore to have my prototype plate made, and it cost like 40 quid, so about $50, $55, something like that. And it was fine. It did the job, but it wasn't the greatest quality. So during the group buy, before I ran it, I thought I'll find a better manufacturer. So I found another manufacturer in the UK. I sent them over what I needed. They sent me back samples. They actually made one that was really, really good, high quality, and everything else. They said it was perfect. They could do the run with no issues. So we ran the group buy. And during the group buy, everyone was like, oh, can we do this with the plates? Can we do that? So there's some different colors, and some people wanted it to have that kind of rusted out appeal and stuff like that. So just got in contact with the manufacturer and they said, yeah, we can do them in different colors, or we can just do them completely untreated. So if you want them to go a bit rusty, you can have that kind of old vintage kind of inspired feel to it. And I think people wanted to pair it with like really old key sets and go for the whole kind of nuclear kind of disaster site look to it, is how a couple of people described it to me. Only when the plates arrived, the manufacturer had completely cut them wrong. So this was laser cut from, I think it was steel that we were using at the time, so it get that nice rust effect. And what they'd done is they'd clearly not had it all lined up correctly on the laser cutter, and half of the plates were cut wrongly. So if you can imagine that the holes kind of go in parallel with the top of the piece of metal. So if you've got like a rectangle of metal, the holes need to be parallel. Well, the switch holes were actually slightly tilted to one side, so they ran closer down. So they completely didn't work. Like you could put switches in them and you could get them over the PCB, but nothing aligned. And it took 3 months for them to make like 150 of these, and each it was the PCB was split into two parts. So you had like a back area, and then you had the actual typing area of the keyboard. So it was almost like two keyboards together, with one on an angle and then one on the impact. So it's 2 plates, and nearly all of the plates were wrong. Like 10% of them would work, and the ones that they'd said they would spray paint and color because it was steel, so they had to paint them and clear coat, they hadn't. All they'd done is they just put like almost like a whitewash solution over the top of it. It wasn't painted at all or anything like that. Of course, they'd already demanded the cash up front, and me being new to this kind of whole thing, I'd never done anything to this kind of scale. I paid for everything up front, just paid them up front, and they sent out the product, and it was all completely and utterly wrong. Like 10% maybe of all of the plates were usable, and it was terrible. Like they came in and it was terrible, and I remember being quite open about this and taking pictures and showing people on Discord and everything else and saying this is what's gone wrong. Now the only recourse I had at the time was to try and recoup my costs from the factory and to complain it. And they're now out of business actually, because so that just shows you what they could be like. They're no longer in business. I think they had some other large industrial contracts that they failed to fulfill. But the only option was to remake them. So I had to, I hadn't run the group buy for profit. It was pretty much run at cost. And I had to front the cost myself for the remainder. I never did get the money back from the factory. But I did find another really, really good manufacturer here in the UK that could produce the plates as needed. The only thing they couldn't do was actually rust out the ones that we wanted to be rusty, so I had to manually rust those myself, which the wife loved me for, because I was putting bits of steel in the oven with salt, vinegar, and bleach to try and make them all nice and rusty, which worked great. But if you heat that kind of concoction up, don't breathe near it. It was horrible. It kind of ruined the kitchen.
Is your oven okay?
No, I had to buy a new oven as well. So this is where it really cost me a ton of money.
Yep.
So I had to replace all the plates, which was about £2,500 at the time. So maybe $3,000, something like that. And then the wife made me buy a new oven as well. So that was my first huge mess up. But everyone got the plates that they asked for, and everyone got the order they asked for. So we managed to do that in the end. But
that's good. That's an expensive lesson.
Yeah, I was about to say.
It was very expensive, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe one day you'll somehow get that money back.
I don't know about that.
It could happen, right? I guess not, but
maybe not.
They don't even exist anymore, huh?
Yeah, that's pretty unfortunate.
About 6 months later, maybe a little bit long, maybe a year later, I tried to. Because it was kind of like an ongoing saga to try and get the money back. Like I even hired a friend who's a solicitor or a lawyer, and he sent them letters and stuff like that to try and recoup some of the funds, saying they hadn't delivered on the contract, the parts were faulty, blah blah blah. It was against the terms and conditions, because we'd agreed like terms and conditions like you do with manufacturers. And we'd said that they need to pass this kind of quality level before we'd even exchange funds. It was like, this is the level of quality they need to be at. You need to match the prototype that you sent me. These are all the requirements you need to fulfill. And they agreed to all that. But of course, the big lesson learned there is you don't pay those contracts in full. You pay half up front or whatever. You agree a percentage up front, and then you only pay the remainder once you've seen evidence that the remainder of the delivery is good, and you try and build up that working relationship with them. But yeah. That was my first big mistake in the hobby, and the solution to overcome it was throw money at it until the problem was fixed, and buy a new oven, because got to keep the wife happy.
It turns out a lot of problems in this can be solved by just throwing more and more and more money at it.
I feel like, I mean, that is the biggest problem with, like, didn't like a C3 factory, like, run off with their money for keyboard cases or something? Like, I don't know, that terrifies me.
Yeah, and I think...
Wait, so the boards came out okay, it was just the plates?
Well, there were no boards, so it was just a plate and a plate and a PCB. That's all it was. So because it's so huge, I mean, this thing's like, I don't know, like 2 feet across more. It's huge. It's massive.
It's way bigger
than
a full size.
You could put 2 DKLs on it side to side, and it's still a little bit bigger. So it's huge.
God.
So you couldn't make a case for it, and I couldn't ship one. So I just made a case out of like MDF for my own personal one and sanded it down and made a nice case. And I kind of gave people instructions on how to do that. And lots of people have done some really cool stuff with them over the years. One guy even made a case out of brass parts, which was really cool. He put like a solenoid in it, and it just really clunked when he typed on it. That was really, really cool. But yeah, it was really interesting. Snickers actually says, how did I find these manufacturers? Well, one of them was actually recommended to me by someone in the Discord server in the UK at the time, and I think the actual factory that replaced it was recommended by the Pokemon Kid, who's in chat now. So the second factory we used that was really good was actually recommended by Matt, who's the Pokemon Kid. Pretty sure it was him, but yeah,
that's awesome.
But we fixed it in the end.
Nice.
I mean, were you stressed?
Yes,
sounds
like
super stressful.
The worst thing about this is that like they shipped the order 3 days before I was due to set off to get married, and I got all of these plates. So I had this stress of getting married, and then I had this stress of everything's wrong like 3 days before I'm getting married, and it's like I've just paid for a huge wedding. Where do I find the money from to do all this and stuff like that? It was a whole kind of big ordeal.
That sounds so bad. Well, I'm glad it ended up working out. Kind of.
It was a learning experience. Let's put it that way.
Certainly.
Oh gosh, I feel stressed from, like, literally, like what you just said is my worst nightmare.
There are reasons I've never run a group buy. I am way too afraid to run a group buy, especially like individually. I guess nowadays there's so many vendors that can kind of just act as the middleman, but
but they have to go through this.
Sure,
I'm sure they have this fear.
I mean, you still never lose that fear. Like even now, there's always the.
Well, I mean, you're a vendor now, like.
Yeah, I didn't learn the lesson, did I? That's the trick. I never learned from these mistakes.
You went the opposite way.
Yeah. Oh, this is great.
Let me run more group buys.
But no, like vendors want to do the best for customers as well. Like I think I speak for all of the vendors that are in the community right now. When I say that they want to do the best for their customers, the best for the community, they absolutely do. Like if something's wrong, they 100% want to fix it, whether it costs money or whether it costs time or whether it costs effort, whatever. It doesn't matter. If there's a problem with something that we do or deliver as a product, we want to make sure it's the best we can do. And I think all vendors would probably agree with that. I can't think of anyone that wouldn't. And like, I think that was kind of like, in a weird way, having that problem and being able to overcome it and realizing there's ways around it and, going through that challenge, that is kind of what made me think, do you know what, I kind of enjoy this. It's not about, making money or losing money. It's more about making sure that people get the right product and seeing people being happy with what, you've helped them create or, what you've helped them build in the end. That's the rewarding part of it for me, and that's why I do it.
Nice.
Yeah, I can relate to that. That's like kind of why I was interested in maybe considering it, just to like, because there's just like so much demand for everything right now. But then I was like, I don't know, like there's just too much stress.
It's a lot of work and it is a lot of stress.
Risk.
It's a lot of stress.
Yeah, like if you put in an order with a manufacturer for 100 boards and you think that's a lot of money, if this doesn't go well, what do I do? Where do I get the funds from? And things like that. It is kind of a worry and a risk for most vendors, I think. But at the end of the day, I do this because I love it. Like I wouldn't have the space here, the warehouse behind me and stuff, if I didn't enjoy doing what I'm doing. And it's just great to see all of when you ship a product out and all of a sudden 50 people, 100 people, 1,000 people, whatever the number is, get in touch and say thank you for doing this, or look at how cool this is, and they share pictures and you see people builds with them, and then you go to meet up and you see something that you've helped produce be there. It's just really rewarding experience.
It makes it all worth it.
Enjoy that. It does like it's no secret I don't take personal money out of Prototypist. It all gets plumbed back in. I don't take any personal profit out of it. I just do it because I like to see all the cool things that come through the store, and I like to see people be happy and try and help people get what they get and get what they want, and that's the reason for doing it for me.
Nice. What about you, Minterly? What's one of your big mistakes in the hobby, if you've made one, and how did you overcome it?
I feel like maybe not on the scale of Jay.
No, this doesn't need to be on a
No
scale.
offense. But like something that comes to mind is when I first started out in the hobby, I was just like very excited about everything. And I guess like that excitement kind of made me not really like consider the status quo and just like uh how small the hobby is and like interpersonal relationships within the hobby. So I know there was like when I ran Bliss last year, and this is no longer a problem because of how big the hobby is, but when I ran Bliss last year, there was like some controversy about like the colorways, which I've been pretty vocal about that like I don't think anyone knows colors, but then I can also see how like from a small hobbyist standpoint, like everyone's friends, like people don't want to step on each other's toes, that like it was seen as a toe stepping moment because like it was a pretty similar. I don't think it's like exactly the same. I personally felt like it was different enough to run, but I can see why people would think it was similar. So I feel like that excitement it was just like kind of impeded my ability to just like be a little bit more considerate. And I should have like, I guess like taken the time to like assess the hobby itself, not just like, oh, I'm so excited about keyboards, like I just want to do this thing and like not really care about other people. I also, when I was trying to find a vendor for that set, I like asked a few people to run the set, and I don't know if that's like standard. Like I still don't even know how people get their sets to be run these days. Like, do people ask multiple people, like, or are all sets picked up by vendors when they IC? Like, I don't really know what the protocol is still, but I feel like maybe it was a little bit rude of me to have asked multiple vendors without being like transparent with them that I was asking multiple people, because I feel like some of the vendors like assumed that I was only talking to them, which maybe have been the standard back then. I just don't know. So yeah, I like this just comes to mind because I feel like I let my personal feelings kind of not really consider how other people felt, and just like from that I've wanted to like just be more considerate going forward. Like I've definitely tried to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's different for everyone. Like, I don't think there's like a set way of people getting in touch. Like, I know some vendors will reach out to some people, and some people will reach out to vendors, and I think it's all different. I think my instant thought if someone reached out to me is they're probably going to reach out to multiple vendors to ask them, you know, whether that be worldwide or whether that be for proxy purposes or whatever.
But would you still think that if it was like a year ago when the hobby was so much smaller and there was
It's difficult to say.
Yeah, it's different, right? So
yeah, it is. It is. Like
nowadays things are so like I don't think they're like super different, but they're still different in some ways. Like we have so many more proxies, we have so many more projects going, so much more money coming in. It's like less of a direct competition. If there's like 10 sets running, they'll probably be okay. But a year ago today, 10 sets running, like some of them might not make it. And that competition
if you go back 2 years, there was 5 sets a year and that was it, right? And now you're looking at 10 sets a month guaranteed. I think it's very different US as well compared to UK, because the group buys are so much bigger in the US, to EU, because the group buys are so much bigger in the US, the vendors tend to only take on one project at once. So you look at, you know, like Dixie or Mike or whatever, they tend to have just one or maybe 2 GMK group buys running at one time. Whereas here in the EU, there's quite a few vendors, but well, I think that the scale is so different that you could run 10 sets at a time, and if they all come in at the same time, you can still handle it. The demand isn't quite as big, so I think it's very different depending on which vendor you speak to as well. But from my perspective, a lot of people reach out to me. I reach out to a couple of people, maybe 10% of the stuff we do. I reach out to someone in advance because I wouldn't feel like I wanted to take something away from the market, and I like it. I think it's much more unique when people actually go and speak to the vendors that they want to speak to, rather than feeling like they're trapped into one particular vendor because that vendor's approached them first. So, it's very, very rare I do that. It's only if I really, really, really love something that I will ever do that.
Yeah.
But then I feel like some people who start interest checks like also just do it as like a passion project, and maybe they don't really know how to go about doing it, and then they don't know if they should contact a vendor or not. So like sometimes it's good that you reach out, because then what if they're scared to contact people? Like I don't know who to ask, and I had to ask people, like, should I ask a vendor? Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, there's guide. There's no like really guide. You know, you kind of ask around and see what other people are doing.
In theory, I mean, the worst they could say is no, right? And then you kind of just move on. Upas in chat,
it's like
obviously.
It's like your child, and then like somebody shuts down your project, and it's like, oh.
Just because the vendor's not interested doesn't mean to say it's not a good project. Like, this could be. Like, I only try and I have a rule that I only try and run stuff on the store that I like, and I do say no to people sometimes. That's not because their projects are bad, or because I don't think it would sell or anything else like that. It's really difficult to say what I wouldn't say yes or no to, but there's a lot of really good projects that I've said no to, or I've even said you might be better going to My Keyboard or to Candy Keys because they're in a better position to be able to market that particular set or whatever. It all depends, I think.
Glendale in chat says it's like getting rejected by that girl that I asked to prom.
Oh, man.
Man.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So sad.
To any of you out there in Twitch chat right now that have maybe designed a set and pitched it to a vendor and have been denied, what was that experience like for you? We're always looking to hear. Upas in chat, obviously who runs Cannon Keys, says, I assume that anyone who asks me is also asking everyone else, but that's just me.
Yeah, I kind of assume that they're talking to multiple vendors if someone comes and asks me about something. It'd be dangerous for me to think they were only talking to me, but I can imagine a year ago people would have only thought that because the number of vendors was smaller, and as you said, Minterly, the number of key sets being run was smaller. So I can imagine a year ago it was very different. But yeah.
All right, so I guess we're on to me now, and my kind of big mistake in the hobby and how I overcame it is an interesting one that it'll probably take a lot of people by surprise.
Was it hiring me?
It was absolutely hiring Jay.
Damn.
Yeah, so I hired Jay, and life just got really, really bad for me quickly.
Where's the quit button? Hold on.
Abort?
Yes. No. Anyways.
Cancelled.
In all seriousness, interestingly enough, though, it is relating to Top Clack. So a lot of you might have remembered about a year or two ago, sometime over the last couple years, I spent a lot of time trying to structure Top Clack in a way to basically go full-time. And I wanted to make keyboards my job. I wanted to do Top Clack full-time. I wanted to be a full-time streamer. And that added a significant amount of stress that I wasn't really expecting. And it kind of skewed the entire hobby for me in a sense of I didn't really enjoy it anymore. It felt like, it needed to be a job, and I had to look at it like a job, and I had to do this and this and this, and I had to do all these things that I didn't really want to do. I just wanted to, talk about keyboards and build some keyboards and stuff like that, and, talk to other cool people in the community about keyboards. And it got to a stage where it wasn't fun anymore, and I was really, really close to being burnt out on the hobby. And it was like that until relatively recently, actually, until we switched our format, until Jay and I started doing kind of more of what we wanted as opposed to what the community expected of us, because we had been doing this one thing for so long, and now we kind of broke free of that, and now we're doing a variety of things nowadays, and it's a lot more laid back for me, and I'm a lot less stressed now because of it. Which is pretty awesome. So I guess that's kind of how I overcame it as well. It's just this format change and not taking the hobby the way other people expect me to take it, but the way I actually enjoy it and the way I want to do things. So that's how it went for me, and it was quite a journey. It was certainly quite a journey. But now I'm finally able to kind of start enjoying keyboards again, and I feel I'm actually excited about keyboards again too, and it feels good because it had been a while. It had been a while. But yeah, hiring Jay. Truly awful. Just kidding. Yeah, go ahead, Minterly. What do you want to say about that?
Like we were kind of talking about this before stream, so sorry for the repetition.
No,
but like I'm kind of in a place right now where I have foot in both worlds, where I'm like, this might be something that I can make serious. Like I've been putting a lot of effort into social media, but then also I'm like, but I want to have something that I'll just enjoy. Like if this becomes a job, then I won't have a hobby. I'll just have two jobs, and like it's a lot of work, it's a lot of stress. It's like then you have to like meet certain goals and metrics and just like expectations, and it's kind of like I haven't yet decided if I want to tilt one way or the other.
And you start comparing yourself to other
pretend to myself
streamers.
that I'm putting Yeah, it's just putting so much time into it and then just being like, oh, it's a hobby. And then it's like, what the heck? Why am I putting so much time into it? But then if I like do commit to it full time, then it's just like, oh, but what if I fail? Then it's like more scary.
It's strange too, and I've been thinking a lot of in the particular like context of being a streamer and a content creator. I've been putting a lot of thought into like what is a successful streamer, and is it like having more views? Is it making more money? Is it like reaching more outlets, or is it like being happy and having a good time? Because you can look at we use Nathan Kim as an example, and I'm not going to pick on him, of course, but most people would agree that in the terms of our community, he's very successful. I mean, he has a lot of viewers. He probably makes a fair amount of money doing it, and I imagine he still absolutely loves what he's doing. I would hope so, at least. But for this hypothetical situation, let's assume that he doesn't love what he's doing. But he's still getting the viewership, and he's still making the money, and pushing what he needs to push in the boundaries that needs to be pushed. And would you still consider that a successful streamer if let's say he didn't enjoy what he's doing? Hypothetical, of course.
Everyone. Because like we talked about this, Brian, a few weeks ago when we decided we weren't going to do the news anymore, and we sat down and we got our heads together and we talked it through. And I think we both agreed that for us, like, even if we got one viewer, we would still do this because we enjoy doing it and we want to talk about stuff that we want to talk about. Not necessarily the news show, because that's old cash, but actually having conversations about the hobby, about stuff that we're interested in. I think my view is that I don't do it for the viewers. I do it for me being able to not to gain numbers of viewers. Sorry, I do it to be able to share my thoughts with however many viewers we have, whether that's one viewer or 1,000 viewers, or any number in between. It's more about being able to just share my thoughts and experiences, and it's cathartic in a way as well to do it that way.
Yeah, I mean, Top Clack, originally when we very first started in 2016, we spent the better part of 6 months streaming to like 10 viewers. But you know what? We had a really good time doing it. And like that's kind of what I missed in the hobby, is like just sitting down and like hanging out with people and discussing about keyboards or keyboard community and that kind of thing. And I'm happy to kind of like bring it back to that. It feels
just
good.
To challenge that though. Like,
sure.
I know you said you would still be happy to stream to one person, but obviously like we're all people. Like it's kind of an ego thing to like have more higher numbers. Like if you did go back to only streaming to 10 people and then like you're putting so much time in, like wouldn't you feel like it's kind of a waste? Like you could be doing other things, or do you think you like enjoy it so much that you would like going from where you are right now, and if like for the next 6 months you guys suddenly only stream to 10 people, like even if you're doing it for fun, like wouldn't it be kind of disheartening?
Like my view on that is probably I'd still want to do it. Like my before he was on Top, like my personal build streams, when I first started doing those, they got like 6 or 7 viewers, and it was like that for maybe 3 or 4 months, and it was only then after 3 or 4 months it started to grow. And you know what? Some of those early streams are some of the best ones I ever did. But at the same time, I actually find it really cathartic and a good release to do this every week. That's why I get up at crazy o'clock on Thursdays to do this, because I find it really cathartic to just be able to have a couple of hours where I'm just being open, honest, being me, talking about whatever we're talking about, but giving like a really clear crystal view on how I feel about it at that time. I find that really, really cathartic. Even if only one person watches it, then yeah, I think I'd still want to do it.
Yeah, and I know we had discussed this a little bit before the stream as well. It's like, at what point are you streaming for yourself, and at what point are you streaming for other people? And like that can mean different things to different people, and I think either is valid. I think people that, in this hypothetical situation, like if Teha types Nathan Kim like didn't like streaming, but he still did it, like he's still putting out great content, and he's still helping a lot of people that otherwise maybe wouldn't have been helped within the hobby or coming into the hobby. Sure. And like it can. Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, but if you put that into kind of like a context, if you see that as his job, would you stick in a job that you disliked in the real world instead of streaming world? If you didn't like it, you have to enjoy it to some extent, or be getting something out of it personally to carry on doing it. Right? I wouldn't do my day job if I didn't get something out of it. If I didn't enjoy it, I would change jobs, or I'd look for something else, or I'd go back to school or college or whatever and pick up a new qualification. I would do something to change that if I wasn't enjoying my professional life.
What if you got paid a lot of money? to be at a job, like not like 7 figures, a lot of money to be at a job that you hated.
Like,
and you had a nice life, but you hated 40 hours of your life every week.
10 years ago, I'd have probably said, oh yeah, I'd do it for the money. Now, I think I'm a bit older, probably, I wouldn't say wiser, but probably a bit more jaded. I'd probably say, do you know what, I'd rather enjoy what I do and earn less money for it than hate what I do and earn a shit ton of money, because money isn't like the be all and end all of life. It you sure, having a lot of money makes things easier.
It feels like it at times, though.
But I think that's just like this thing that we build up in our heads, that having money makes things better. And like, sure, it might make you have nice things, but does it mean that you feel fulfilled? Does it mean that you feel loved? Does it mean that you feel taken care of? I don't think so.
Yeah. I think you need enough. Like, you need enough to be able to have a roof over your head, to afford food, and not worry about like how are you gonna pay the bills and the gas. And then after that, it's kind of all relative. Like, if you have a nicer car, or if you have a car that works, like, it's kind of, you have a car,
And the thing is, no matter how much money you earn, people always live to their means as well. So this is like, so my day job, I work for a bank, and we see this all the time. But people live to their means. Like, if you earn $100,000 a year, you will absolutely live to whatever that level of lifestyle is that you could afford. If you earn $1 million a year, you would do the same, and you would still have some of the same issues with money. Like, the numbers would be very different, and the actual ramifications might be very different. So it might not be that you can't afford to pay for your electricity bill, for example, but it would be, oh, I can't afford to buy that new yacht. The level, like,
imagine having that as a problem.
You say that if you're at the, if you're in that I can't pay my electricity bill part, you say that, but the problems feel the same to the people no matter where they're at on that scale. Like, just because you've got more money, you don't necessarily lose the feelings that you have on that. The ramifications might be very different in terms of the quality of your life, but people still live to their means no matter how much money they earn or appreciate.
Yeah, money can solve some problems, but it can't solve them all.
Yeah, I think it's relative. I think Mellowjet said 75,000. I'm assuming average U.S. quality of living. Like, it's nice to not have to worry about, especially if you have like a family and kids. Like, if you can afford to put them to college, if you can afford to feed them, but then, like, after that, you're right. Like, you want to compete with your peers. Like, they have a new yacht, I want a new. I don't know. I can't relate to that, but I'm assuming, like, it's same issues, just price scale is a little more extreme.
Yeah, like, and you can't appreciate other people's problems unless you've experienced them. So the problems that you have are relevant to you, and just because you think that someone else's problem would be a nicer one to have, if you're actually in that position, it might not be. The stresses on life are very, very similar, irrespective of what the issue is. Depending on where you're at on that sliding scale. But right now, I think my answer is the same. I would rather be happy and enjoy what I do than take a big payday.
For sure.
I think that's actually really important that you said that, because I think a lot of people, well, at least I won't speak to others, but me, I feel like I live a pretty comfortable life. Like, I have a decent paying job. I can afford to have a roof over my head, and I don't really have, like, I'm obviously not in a third world country with famine and war. And sometimes I feel like, why do I have issues of, like, how many people on the internet like me this week? And, like, which keyboard do I, like, why do I care about which keyboard, like, which key set should I buy? Like, these are so stupid problems. But I think, like what you said, like, it's relative to you. It's like, it's okay to have issues, and it, just because somebody else is suffering more or less, doesn't invalidate how you feel, and that's actually really important.
Exactly. Don't let someone devalue the challenges you're going through because it doesn't fit with their mindset or their world outlook. Your challenges are unique to you, and the scale of them is determined by how you feel about them. It's not determined how someone else feels about it. And it's like, say you're that multimillionaire buying the yacht. If that's the problem that you've got in your life and that feels like a big problem to you, then that feels like a big problem to you. You can't let someone who has no money tell you, well, I can't afford to pay my electricity bill this week. And I'm using real extremes here, but challenges and trials and tribulations in our lives are individual to us. And someone else can't say that your challenge doesn't have value because it doesn't fit into their world set.
Yeah.
That's kind of the point I'm trying to get across.
Uncool dude in chat says perspective is important, and I fully agree.
Exactly. Yeah. That's an easy way of what I'm trying to say. Yeah, perspective is important. They've just distilled my 10-minute of ranting into 3 words.
Isn't Twitch chat like amazing at that? Like, I feel like they're so much better at this than we are.
Yeah, why don't we employ chat? Chat, just give us our lines for the next 10 minutes, please, guys.
We should do that. We should have
script for us.
Yeah, no, for real. We should have chat plan out an entire episode for us, and we have to follow it.
Yeah, with scripts. Yeah.
How fun would that be?
Insane.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God.
I feel like this is a really good actual turning point to segue over into our primary topic of the day, as we're kind of approaching that kind of perspective and mental outlook on a lot of things. We can talk a little bit about mental health within the community and maybe how we can approach it and how we can potentially improve it, because I feel like it's something that hasn't really been noticed or addressed very much until more recently in the hobby, and there's kind of a certain stigmatism, I guess, around it. But yeah, there's a surprising amount of people in the hobby that kind of suffer from these mental illnesses, and I learned this firsthand when I had literally hundreds of people PMing me when I put out a post about some of the issues that I was having not too long ago, and it really blew me away how many people are like, I know exactly what you feel like right now, and like these are the things that helped me, and so on and so forth. And it was really quite eye-opening. But yeah, like as a society, we historically tend to kind of stigmatize people with mental illnesses. We look down upon them as, you know, weaker or maybe not as worthy or something because they can't, quote unquote, handle their problems, or, you know, however you want to phrase it. And like I said, only recently it kind of started to be understood and accepted in the hobby, it feels like, and kind of overall in today's society. But how do you guys feel about the current state of this?
I think it's difficult. I think there's, as you say, there's a lot of stigma to talking about mental health, and I think it's different all over the world. Some places it's more acceptable than it is others, and I think it transcends to more than just the hobby as well. It's almost like your professional life, you know, your personal life as well. And all 3 of those environments can give you a really different perspective. Like, it might be absolutely okay for you to talk about your mental health with your wife, your partner, your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, whoever, but then it might not be okay to talk about it at work, or it might not be okay to talk about it in a hobby aspect like we're talking about here. And I think that's one of the bigger challenges for me. It's like, how do we remove that stigma of being able to talk about it? Because what I thought it was incredibly brave when you put that post up, Brian. I know we talked about it a little bit before, and I kind of knew what you were going through, but I thought it was incredibly brave to put that post up and say, look,
I also really appreciated it.
Yeah, this is where I'm at right now, and that was huge for me. It was kind of inspiring to me as well. Like you know, I was incredibly impressed by your mental fortitude to be able to put that post up and have the respect for your own self that you did to be able to post that. Like, it was genuinely eye-opening, because I don't think I would ever have been able to post something like that, even if I'd been feeling that way. I don't know why.
Yeah, exactly, right? Exactly. Like, why are these kind of issues something that we put at the back of our mind and we like don't talk about? And one of the reasons I wanted to bring Minterly on for this discussion is because obviously her and the wonderful Alex Otis did a 24-hour mental health awareness stream for charity recently that was absolutely fantastic, and I cannot thank you guys enough for doing that. But what kind of thoughts do you have on this kind of currently overall, Minterly?
I think it's a worldwide issue. Like Jay said, it comes down to culture, it comes down to how much empathy other people can have, and I guess if you're looking at it on a bigger scale, it's actually kind of disheartening to think that you can make any sort of change at all, because like my personal culture is like Chinese American, and my mom is very Chinese, and she doesn't think mental health is an issue at all. Like, she just thinks you can get over it. Like, people in my family have voiced very concerning things, and I've had concerns about them to my mom, and she doesn't have the same sense of urgency that I do, because I have gone through it and I understand it. And even me personally, I didn't understand until I experienced it myself, or I grew older. I don't know, maybe both. But yeah, it's like, it's really difficult because I feel like some people don't understand, and some people are scared to talk about it. And then even for me, doing that event, I was actually very nervous about, because it's being vulnerable and being a public kind of to like, you know, people in the hobby, being like a more public figure and just people knowing this about you. Like I was like, oh, what if they judge me for being weak? And like not everyone is as understanding. What if they think I'm just complaining and, you know, like my issues are really irrelevant, like, oh, I feel super sad one day and I can't get out of bed. Like that's just that's like what people who don't understand would say, because I feel like at one point in my life that's what I thought. But it's like it's crushing sometimes, you know, like, and I don't know how to explain that to people who don't understand it. So if they don't understand it, then they'll just think I'm weak because that's what they think. So I was like very nervous about that. That's like one thing that I think holds a lot of people back. But it's really nice, like, you know, the post that you put out, Brian, to have like some people just be vulnerable and show that it's okay to be vulnerable, and then everyone around you, maybe not everyone in the world or like the community as a large, but like your top Clack community is like, oh, Brian feels like that, I feel like that, I guess like I'm not alone, and that's nice.
Yeah. And that's one thing that I think that's one thing that I definitely want to try to get the point across of, like, oh yes, someone mentioned a segment change. I'm sorry, I don't actually have a banner for this.
It's no longer our first time.
It's no longer our first. Well, I mean, it's kind of, it was my first time making that post. How about that? But yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. I think just getting the information out there and getting people to realize that they're not necessarily alone, because I think that's one of the biggest problems is a lot of the people that do suffer from things like anxiety and depression, like, they don't really talk about it because they're afraid to, because they know if they do, there's going to be a lot of people who are like, what the heck's wrong with you? Like, you're weak. Like, stop being so weak. And I know, Minterly, you brought up your parents, and this is one thing I'm kind of curious about, to kind of pick Twitch chat's brain on as well, is, you know, is it a generational thing? Because obviously you can't really say that, like, people didn't have mental issues in the past. Like, they just probably hit it more. And now that a lot of people that are younger these days are, you know, more expressive, and they you know, they want to express the issues that they're having, and, you know, it's kind of taken in a black and white effect, and of either you're too weak or, you know, how can I help you? But it's like, how should we be kind of approaching the situation? Because, you know, in the past, like I mentioned before, as like a generational effect, a lot of people just either didn't talk about it, or just people presume that people didn't have mental health issues back then, which is kind of a radical assumption, right? We can't really assume that people just didn't suffer mentally in the past.
Or like you had some issues and then you're just bonkers off your rocker, like in an institution, crazy.
Yeah. Like growing, it's kind of personal to me, because like growing up, my dad had mental health issues. Like he left when I was 14. I haven't seen him since. But when I was really young, he was a paranoid schizophrenic, so he had like diagnosed mental health issues. And I don't really remember much about it. I remember him not being around much, and I know he was in hospital a lot and things like that. But that led to my mum, bless her soul, because she passed away last year, but she kind of like used to shy away from anything that was mental health related because of that. So if I was like feeling down or depressed, if I said anything towards that, the whole kind of her approach to it was man up, you know, stop worrying about it, just crack on, get on, you know, just do it, which kind of seems like very much what you were saying about your experiences mentally. And like that kind of set my mindset that I should always try and work through everything, and I don't think that's always the case. And the older I get, the more I start to realize that you have to take care of, you know, your mindset, your mental health, and do whatever you need to do for that. One of the biggest things I've seen in the hobby quite recently, which has been really positive, is that people are welcoming of this. If I try and ship out stuff as soon as it comes in, like to the warehouse, as soon as it comes in, within 24 hours, I want to get it out and get it into people's hands. But if I put up a post and said, guys, this group buys come in, but I'm really not feeling it this week, I'm taking a week off, you guys are going to have to wait, I think the community would be quite accepting of that. I think they'd be actually, do you know what, take the time. I think there'll always be some people who complain, but I think the vast majority of the community would be very welcoming of that. It's like, no, take your time, you know, do what's right for you, take a week off if you need a week off. Because like when we've had time off the show, Brian, like, you know, I know we've both skipped shows a couple of times, we've had other people on things, people are always really welcoming of that. But I do think that if I tried to do that when my mum was around, her view would have been vastly different. And I think that a lot of my growing up was being heavily influenced by that, and it's been a huge phase shift to try and move myself away into that different mindset.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of the older generation, I feel like, in that sense, are just like, you know, they either don't believe it exists or they're just like, hey, deal with it. And it's weird to think about that perspective too, because it's like, not only did this not exist, or not only did this like still exist back then, but it was like suppressed. But it was like, you know, how were people dealing with it like back then? And like, just that.
I don't think they were. I think that's
suffering.
Exactly. and in the same sense, it's like, all the people that are like, oh, we'll just deal with it. Like, was life better back then because of that? Because it was suppressed? Because it was ignored? Because people just, quote unquote, dealt with it and moved along? Like, were they happy with their lives because of that? Because I'm not convinced they were. And I'm glad that it's starting to actually get a little bit more attention here at the forefront, and people are actually able to, you know, express themselves and talk about it in an open format like this. I think it's really beneficial to a lot of people. And I had, like I mentioned, I had so many PMs, not only from people that were like going through similar stuff, but they're just like, now I feel like I can actually talk about it, and it's like not an issue, you know. And I think that alone relieves a lot of stress from people as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this all comes back to like things are relative. Like, I don't think things were particularly better or worse for people back then. That was just kind of the norm. Like, if you were feeling badly or if you struggled with not just depression, but just like more serious mental health issues, like, if you could hide it, then it was like, okay, I'm just feeling like an off day, like I'll just man up, or, you know, I'll get over it. And that's kind of what they did. So then that's like the mindset towards it. And if you had a more serious issue, like take meds or get stuck in an institution, and that was kind of the norm, and you're a crazy person. But now it's like there's people recognize that like we're more diverse. There's different types of personalities. There's different types of issues. People learn differently, and like with that growing mindset, like things are becoming more okay. And I don't think like our struggles are less or more than the people back then. Like, we kind of struggled the same, just differently. And I don't know, like, we're trying to make things better and trying to relate to people. I think like my reason for reaching out is just to like feel less lonely. I don't know if people in the past were more or less lonely, but I think with the internet connecting people like so insanely, like you can't like be so connected to people and like, you know, be able to talk to anyone in anywhere in the world with just your phone, and then like feel so alone with your mental health problems. I think that's like where the disparity comes and like the conflict comes. And it's just nice to like know that, oh, they're having a great life, but then sometimes they struggle too. And then you'll be able to think like, oh, like sometimes I have okay days and sometimes I have bad days. And like the comparison of this perfect social media image of this person, it just becomes more relatable, and you're not like trying to compare your life to like what you think is the status quo, but what actually like is more realistic. I don't know if that made any sense. I don't know what I was saying.
Yeah.
No, it does. It makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to do a couple quick shout-outs because we missed a couple things. But SM Keyboard subbed, and Faza also subbed. So thank you very much for those guys. Appreciate that. And then Teal Technic donated 300 bits. So thank you guys so much. Very much appreciate that, guys. Yeah, so Uncool Dude says the societal shift with respect to mental health is changing, and I think a large part of that has to do with the synchronous birth of the parasocial method of communication that internet has brought to the forefront. I totally agree. I mean, I think that it goes without saying that, especially on the internet, people are more open and willing to say the things that are on their mind as opposed to hiding it, because, you know, a lot of, and we see it in both extremes, right? There's a lot of people that are willing to say things online that they honestly probably not willing to say face to face with the same person, you know, IRL. So I think that that kind of fits in there as well. But yeah, so like we recently kind of we had a discussion with Gondoligerum about toxicity, and I highly suggest anyone that's interested to go back and watch that episode because it was a fantastic one. And so this kind of brings me to the point of like, what kind of mindset should we approach the hobby with? Like, how can we I guess, properly educate people on the topic without maybe feeling like we're constantly forcing the issue. Because I feel like it really needs to be something that we talk about and we kind of bring up, but without kind of beating to death, if that makes sense. So how do you guys feel about that?
It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because there is if you talk about something in certain ways, or too much, or push it too much, or hammer home the point, you just frustrate people and you turn them away from what you're trying to share. So I think there is such a thing as overdoing it when it comes to promoting stuff in some ways, so you have to promote it in the right ways. I know, Nat, your streams quite recently where you had a focus on this and all of the kind of events that you had around it, which were incredible, by the way. Well done for all of the hard work that you put in. I think that's a really good way of kind of showcasing and highlighting the issues, and kind of giving people a set time and say, we're going to talk about this for this period of time, and this is going to be what we want to get out of it. I think that's kind of how it has to be structured. But I think we very much have to be open to the fact that some people might be having mental health issues and we might not be aware of it as well. So there's also the kind of keeping it in the back of your mind that, you need to treat people with respect and speak kindly to people, and be understanding if people show signs of being uncomfortable or having problems within the community. We need to be kind of aware and respectful of each other from that perspective.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It's kind of like a two approach where, like, just in everyday life, like, be a decent person, be considerate to people. It's okay to have your opinions. It's okay to disagree with other people, but, like, just because somebody doesn't share your opinion doesn't mean they're less of a person. They're just different. And I think sometimes people forget that, especially on the internet, where everyone's just like an anonymous, faceless
just an
stranger,
online name. Yeah.
And then, like, if you are a public figure and this is something that you're willing to talk about, I've also been, like, considering how I want to navigate these waters. Because, like, since doing that event, I don't want it to be like, oh, we'll talk about mental health, like, once a year, and that's it, That's kind of, that's not how it works. So it's, like, not very organic. And in that vein, like, I don't really want to, like, talk about my problems all the time. Because then, like, I don't want this to be, like a, I don't know, what's the term? Like, my platform for people to listen to my problems. Like, I'm not coming to Twitch for people to be my therapist, Yeah. So, I don't know, like, what I've resorted to doing recently is just, like, when I am not feeling that great, like, I'll be honest with people. I won't, like, super elaborate on it. Like, I won't try to bring people down, but I'll just be like, oh, yeah, I'm not feeling that well today. Whereas before, I would always say, like, yeah, I'm doing great, I'm doing fine. Even when I was, like, a little less energetic, a little less down. So I think, like with me, it affects me in waves. Like, some days are better than others. So I kind of just take that approach where, like, sometimes I just want to share that, like, hey, I'm not feeling okay. Like, how are you guys doing? Just check in with chat. And, like, not to force the issue too much. Like, I don't want to talk about it every single stream and, like, dissect people's psyche every single stream. Like, that's a little much, but yeah, that's how I've been approaching it.
Yeah, that's a pretty good outlook too, honestly. And something I kind of did want to touch on with the same vein is, like, a lot of us, we entered this hobby for, as a form of stress relief, as a form of, like, getting away from, our everyday issues, our jobs, or, whatever, insert whatever you want here. Like, we entered the hobby not necessarily for negative reasons, right? We all entered it for a positive reason, to have some fun, to enjoy it. And I feel like these days there's a significant more amount of stress in the hobby than there otherwise used to be. And even the people that are, maybe they're not vendors, they're not content creators, or so on and so forth, but they're still having all these issues, and they're still getting in all these arguments, and they're not really enjoying the keyboards anymore. They're not really enjoying the community, right? And that feels like a difficult thing. And I'm just wondering, like, are a lot of people here for the right reasons? Kind of a hypothetical question, of course, but, like,
yeah, I see where you're going with it, Brian. And I think it's a difficult one to answer, because what is the right reason to be here in the hobby? And I think, from my perspective, am I here for the keyboards? Sure. What's the real reason I'm here? The real reason I'm here is because of the community, the friends that I've made, the people I get to talk to. The likes of you guys, Nat and Brian, and the likes of everyone else I speak to on Discord in daily, weekly, chats and things like that. Everyone except maybe like Mr. Petrov or something like that, you know. But jokes aside, like it's difficult because you're right. It shouldn't be stressful for us to be parts of these communities, and if we're feeling like these communities are stressing us out, is that an issue in itself?
Exactly. Yeah. Because I mean, and I think a lot of us kind of go through this, whether you're a content creator like us or like Minterly, or you're a vendor. You're going to have times that are going to be very, very stressful, and it's probably going to make you question whether you should be doing what you should be, or like what you're doing right now, basically. And I think that's kind of the spot that I hit recently too, when we decided to do the format change before that. And it got to a point where I just didn't want to do that anymore. I did not want to do that specific thing anymore, and like it had to change, otherwise like I was going to mentally suffer for it.
Yep. Yeah, and until you mentioned it to me, Brian, I didn't realize that I felt exactly the same way, and it was like you lifted like a whole veil in front of my eyes. I thought, that's why I've been feeling so rubbish. That's the issue. You kind of like raised the veil for me, and it kind of highlighted what the issue was for me as well.
Yeah, we knew it was bad when Jay and I would get together before the shows, and we were just like, another 16 GMK interest checks again.
Like genuinely though, Brian, how despondent was I sometimes before the shows? Like thinking back to how I was, like it's clear there was an issue. I just hadn't recognized it in myself, and it took you telling me that you had an issue for me to actually sit down and assess it myself and understand. And I think the biggest thing I've learned from this experience and the way the show has changed is that I need to stop just getting on with things, and I need to start really assessing how I feel about things and actually letting myself have the time to process that and understand it, because that's a form of self-care that I've not done before. I've done, I've taken the inspiration from my mother on that one, and I've just done what I thought was the right thing to do, which is push on and forge on. And that's not always the right answer. Sometimes you have to take stock of where you're at and sit back and, smell the roses, see the bigger picture, however you want to phrase it. Just take stock of how I really feel about something, and is that the right thing for me to continue doing?
Yeah, quick shout-outs to Sovereign, who not only subbed, but gifted a sub to Minterly. So thank you very much for that. And
I'm actually... Oh, did you have another one?
Yeah, Heat Loss also just subbed as well, so thank you very much, Heat Loss. Appreciate that.
Thanks, guys. That's awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Go ahead, Minterly.
I'm actually also in this hobby for the community, but I did enter it for, like, fancy, shiny, customizable keyboards.
Totally.
And then after a while, I was like, I can't afford shiny, fancy, customized keyboards at the rate that I want them. So, like, I'm actually here for the people. And then I was like, I think people make it what they want. Like, some people are literally here to collect as many boards as they can and amass the largest collection ever. Some people are here for the people, and I don't know, like, there's probably a billion other reasons why. Like, I think there is no right reason. It's like more of a personal reason. So, and it's not really up to like any one person to say like, oh, this is how you should.
For sure, yeah.
Experience a hobby, you know.
For sure.
Actually, I wanted to address something somebody said. They said major cases of mental health should be taken care of medically and should be recognized. But with minor cases, suck it up and just move forward. This mentality just breeds more snowflakes. And I just wanted to address that because I think it's really easy to assume someone's situation and say that they're overreacting and they're being too sensitive. But like we've been saying, like basically all stream, like your problems are relative to you. Maybe some people are just sensitive and it's okay for them to be like that. And maybe they do impose on you and they're annoying, but like that's also okay for them to, I mean, it's like you can't say what they're going through because you don't live their problems.
Exactly. You can't generalize by saying everyone is the same and everyone will have the same solution to every problem.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. That's just not how it works.
Yeah, like, and different people would react to the same problem in different ways, and you can't understand how just because if something affects you in one way doesn't mean to say it doesn't affect someone else in an entirely different way, and that's what you need to be respectful of.
And to be totally honest, before I kind of went through a lot of these issues, I thought somewhat similarly. I just thought, I should just suck it up, and like, why are people struggling and like they can fix these things, but like it's not like that. It's so much deeper, and a lot of the times, at least in my cases, you don't really know what it's like until you've been there, and until it feels like like when you just say like just suck it up, like deal with it, move on. Like yes, that makes so much sense in your head, but that doesn't necessarily make sense for all the people that are going through these issues.
Yeah, it's not healthy to do that.
It's easy just to say that people are being overly sensitive. It's easy to call people snowflakes.
I mean, some people are like that, though. I've met people who are, like, completely fine mentally. And I'm like, wow, I'm so impressed and I'm so jealous of your ability to just be like, oh, this is a problem I have in my life. Okay, moving on. And it's like, that's okay. I wish I was like that, but I'm not. And then there's people who are suffering with more extreme things. And it's like, somebody might have a mental breakdown because they broke their nail, and then somebody might be having a mental breakdown because they might have an actual like chromosomal disability. And to each individual, obviously, I think most people have more compassion to one person than the other, because you insert yourself into like you insert yourself into that shoes, and you know you can judge based off of where you're standing. But like, if you try to put yourself actually in their position, maybe the person who like broke their nail and is having a complete mental breakdown, like that's the hugest problem that they had that day, and they don't have any other worries, and that's just how they're raised. That's, you know, what they know, and it's like it's easy to judge, but you're not them. Like you don't know what it's like. I don't know. It's just like
you can't assume what other people's emotions are about a certain subject, right? Because everyone's going to react differently. Like if all three of us had the same issue, let's take the broken nail for example. Like if all three of us had that issue, we'd probably all react in different ways. Like, you know, like now for you, if you like to do your nails, that might be really important to you. You might want to, you know, look good. You know, to turn it back to my mum for a second before she passed away. Her big thing was her hair because she had cancer and stuff. She didn't want to lose her hair no matter what. And going to the hairdressers, getting her hair done, having it dyed, and all of that kind of stuff. That was kind of like her thing. So I kind of attributed to that. But like for me, like I don't really care what my nails look like. You know, if I get a broken nail or anything else, does it really matter? You know, it's different for everyone. I mean, I know, Brian, you're really precious about your nails as well, aren't you? So.
Oh yeah, I've definitely a big nail guy. No, but jokes aside, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Uncool Dude says in the chat, one thing I think streamers and other people with followings may fail to consider is that a great source of happiness is in being of service to others. I hope you will all keep that in mind, and puts a little heart at the end too. So very much appreciate that, and I completely agree. Completely agree. It's. I mean, I don't mean to like sound biased just because obviously all of us are content creators here, but like. It's always really heartwarming when people like message us. They're like, hey, like I really appreciate like this conversation you had. Like this meant a lot to me, or like I really enjoyed this episode for this reason or whatever. Like I usually don't think about how people are receiving our content anymore. It's more just like with the new format in particular, it's what we want to talk about. And if people want to hang around and listen to us, freaking awesome. And if they don't, that's totally fine too. Like not everything's for everyone, of course. So when we do get those kind of comments, it feels really good because it's something that you're totally right. At least me personally, I very much don't really think about that. I always fail to consider that. So it's good to have people kind of bring you back to reality.
Yeah, nice to have that reminder.
It is 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also struggle with imposter syndrome. That's a thing.
That's a thing.
And that's probably like a thing that a lot of people are just like, what the heck? Like,
so I'm a little unfamiliar with that term. Can you explain a little bit about what that means?
Yes. So imposter syndrome is where you think if something really good happens to you in your life or something really positive, you feel like you don't deserve it, like it shouldn't happen to you, or like or if it's something you've engineered yourself and something that you've performed really well, like you feel like it's lucky and you don't feel like you should have it and you feel like it should be with someone else.
I feel personally attacked right now.
Sorry,
like,
I don't mean this to be
just describing me.
Well, no, I genuinely get this, like especially my day job, like working, as I say, I work for a financial institution and stuff like that, and like I'm always the first to like congratulate, like if anything goes well with the area that I run, like I always say, oh, it's the team that did it, it was a teamwork effort and stuff like that. Even if it's been me that's done it, I always attribute it to the team and everyone coming together. But it's right that I feel if someone says, "Oh no, it was you that did that bit," I feel like, well, I shouldn't take credit for that. I should share it with everyone. And it really is difficult to sometimes take credit for things that you've engineered yourself and made happen yourself, and or something that's happened to yourself, in whether it's been luck or whatever. Feeling good about that, I find that really, really difficult sometimes. I completely agree with. I can't remember who posted it now. Was it Poet? Yeah, Piot. Yeah, it's a difficult thing, is imposter syndrome, to break through.
Yeah. For me personally, it's like in my daily job, I'm always like, oh, I don't know why they hired me. Oh, I'm probably gonna get fired. I'm like very scared of being fired all the time. And then people are like, oh yeah, thank you so much. I'm like, what did I even do? Like, I didn't do anything. Like,
yeah, I just did my job, right?
I minimalize what I do so much that I forget what I do until someone else has to like repeat it back to me. Like, oh yeah, we had like such a big impact, and like these are the metrics for it. And I'm like, okay. And then I'll like recognize it for a second, and I'll be like, yeah, but I didn't really do anything. Like, I don't know. It's just, it's really hard for me to recognize even the work that I put in that I did that day. Like today, I don't feel like I just sat on the couch all day, which I did, but I was working the whole time. But I was just sitting on, I don't know. It's really hard to explain.
No, I completely get it. I often feel like, why do they even keep me? Like, I don't really do anything for the money I earn. Like, I don't try hard enough. I don't do enough. And but yeah, when I sit back and take stock of it, well, like the past few weeks, I've been working 60 hours a week on the day job, and like actually, I have been putting a lot of work in and doing it. But at the time, if someone says something like that, or if a piece of work comes up, I was like, oh. Maybe I should put my hand and make my area pick that up, and we should do that, and we should pick that project up, and we should deliver it, and because I feel like I should always be doing more, and that I'm not doing enough right now to justify why I'm there. When the real answer is that, to be honest, I'm probably doing just fine, and everyone's very happy with what we're doing and what we're delivering, and it's difficult to accept that sometimes. I think
I had this conversation recently with someone actually about how like we're kind of raised and conditioned. Like we go throughout a lot of our lives being alphanumerically graded in one way or another, and in one situation or another. And we kind of get it in our head that like we have to meet all of these requirements. We have to do all of these things to be considered like a successful individual. And then we're constantly being graded against our peers in the same way too. Like, oh, this person's better than me because they're working more hours, or their work is more impactful or whatever. And it kind of starts to really stress people out, and it really does add onto it. And it gets you thinking like, what am I living for? Like, what is my life, compared to person X or person Y or whatever. And like, what is my life ever going to be successful? Like, what is a successful life at that point? Which is kind of a topic for a different time, perhaps. That's pretty deep, but I think being happy with yourself is a really good place to start, and it's really, really difficult to do that sometimes. But with that in mind, we can kind of move on to how can we improve our own mental health and maybe help others as well. So what are some tips that you guys obviously, a lot of people resort to medication, and that's totally fine. Totally works for a lot of people. Some people maybe not so much, but I'm kind of curious, like, and you guys in chat of course can chime in as well. What works for you guys? How do you kind of approach any kind of mental issues you might have?
Do you know what worked for me, Brian? The mindfulness app that you mentioned to me a few weeks ago. Like,
you've been using it?
Changed my life.
Right? Isn't that amazing? Okay.
Like, just the way I approach things, the way I look at the day, the way I reflect on how yesterday went, and all of that kind of just generally how I live my life. That app has changed my entire outlook. Like, I can't put into words how much of an impact it's had. I can't explain it.
I use it every single day and have for like a couple months.
I need to try this.
It's called this is not a sponsorship. They should sponsor us though. They really should. It's the app is called Waking Up by Sam Harris, and it's kind of like a really insightful look into spirituality and like everything without resorting to like religion. So like there's no religious ties for anything. It's just it's more about mindfulness is the kind of main approach, and he gets into a lot of kind of like meditative talk and things like that. And it's a really interesting app. So the app does cost money. However, if you email them and say that you can't pay for it, they will give you a free subscription to it because they just want to help people. And it's a really in-depth app that has like a lot of things. And like and I think I mentioned this in my post that I made on the website too, but you know, once I started doing it, like it really did make a bigger difference than I was expecting to. Because I always thought like, oh, it's hocus pocus. Like there's like meditate, like come on, meditating, like what is that gonna do? But like when you start to break it down and you start to kind of like see all the things that you can do, it's really, really eye opening. And like meditation and mindfulness and like breathing exercises and things like that are just positively monumental, much more than I ever thought it would be like. And he also has a lot of really, really great talks with a lot of really, really intelligent people about like their kind of approach to life and different topics and such. But they're all kind of relating to the betterment of oneself and the betterment of others. And I highly suggest that you guys check it out if you are in a similar situation, or maybe you're not. Either way, it's really cool. It's really cool, and it's helped me a ton.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested.
Yeah, I've genuinely enjoyed using the app. Like, I don't know much about Sam Harris himself.
I didn't either until just a couple months ago.
The stuff that comes out of the app and things like that, I couldn't have put it into words better than what you said, Brian. It just genuinely helped me. And it's really cool too, because like I wake up every day and like one of the first things I do is I meditate every day now, and there's like an introductory course on like how to meditate and like what like the steps you should be following, and there's like different versions, and the app is really in depth, so I'm not going to talk too much about it, but it really is fantastic. It's called Waking Up. I'm looking forward to the sponsorship, Sam Harris, as I'm sure you're totally watching this right now. So yeah, definitely give that a check out. But aside from that, what are some other things that you guys have been kind of doing to stay, I guess, mentally stable, or as much as you can?
Honestly, I feel like sometimes I like do a very bad job of taking care of it. Like, I try to ignore it. I'm like, no, I don't want to feel this way. I'm just gonna pretend that I don't. And like, I don't know, it's kind of hypocritical because I'm like, oh yeah, mental health and gotta take care of yourselves, but like, taking care of yourself is also so tiring. Like, to be mindful and aware and like, I don't know, it requires a lot of insight. It requires a lot of self-reflection, and sometimes it's like exhausting, and I just don't want to do it. Like, I just want to have, a normal day. So sometimes I stick my head in the sand and I'm like, nope, I'm not gonna deal with that today. But I think my dogs help a lot. I don't know, they're just like so pure and annoying, and they just, enjoy life like so much, and I'm like, oh, maybe I can be like them. And then I'll like take them on a walk and they're so happy, and I'm like, oh, this is what it's like to just enjoy life as it is.
Yeah. Do you know what? Nice. You're absolutely right. Like simple things like taking the dog for a walk is huge. Like we've had a dog. She's called Gigi. She's asleep on the couch at the minute. I'm surprised you guys can't hear her snoring, but like we've had her for a couple of years, and I would say up until maybe 3-4 months ago, like I hadn't really walked much for a while, and I'd maybe do it once a week, and the wife would do it the rest of the time and stuff like that. What we've actually started doing is just taking time out of the day to specifically spend, time as a family. Me and the wife will walk the dog together. We'll go to the nearest park or whatever, we'll wear our masks and everything else, but we'll go and we'll walk around, and we'll follow all the rules and stuff, and we'll just let her play and be happy. And seeing that every day and doing it every day, whatever the weather's like, it just has been a really nice change to my kind of like day, and I feel a ton better. I'm getting some fresh air, I'm getting more exercise. I'm not just cooped up here in the warehouse, or sat with my eyes glued to my laptop or the desktop and things like that. That's genuinely been a huge help to me. Just simple thing. It sounds really silly, but like walking the dog every day, how on earth does that help you? But genuinely it does. Like it's one thing that she needs from me. She can't walk herself, bless her. It needs to be me or the wife that does it. So why don't we all do it together, do it as a family, and go out together? And it works. It helps.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that as well. One of the things I was doing until I hurt my knee recently is I was walking every day. Every single day I'd go off and walk for 30 to 60 minutes every single day. and like I would listen to like a podcast or a talk or something while I'm walking, and like that made a pretty big difference in my overall mental. That with meditation, mindfulness, and things like that have just been really, really helpful for me. Cannot speak highly enough of those.
Something that I decided to do recently, like I've kind of been struggling these past few weeks, and I went on a camping trip this weekend, and I was just like, what are the basic things that I can improve upon that'll just like improve like my self-care and quality of life? And this might be a little gross and whatever, people can judge me, but when my mental health is like pretty bad and my mood is pretty down, I like don't really want to shower because it's just, I don't know, it's very tiring. It takes a lot of time. I like make the excuse of like, oh, like I don't really move around much anyways, which is true because I don't feel the energy to move around. So I just sit on the sofa and do nothing. And I'm like, why do I need a shower? Like I just sat home all day. But I've like decided as of this weekend to like make an active effort to shower every day instead of like every other day or twice a week like I was doing. And I don't know if it's working yet because I just started doing it, but it's just nice to like decide like, yeah, I'm gonna take these 30 minutes for myself, not be stressed about like what other people want from me, what I need to do in life, like how I'm gonna have retirement money when I'm 65, and just like take a shower and like stare at the tiles. Like I don't know, that's kind of weird, but
yeah, that's I can kind of relate to that as well. Not necessarily the shower thing, but like I procrastinate a lot. When my mental isn't like as stable as I feel it should be, I'm just like, I don't want to do anything, so I just like lay there and do nothing, and then oftentimes I feel worse because I'm like, okay, I'm an unproductive piece of shit, and like I need to get up and do this and this and this, and sometimes it's okay to be an unproductive piece of shit, because like I was trying to reference earlier, I don't think life should necessarily be graded on like how much you have to be productive like on a day-to-day basis. Like it's so easy in today's society because like we're just so used to it to categorize things like, okay, I have to get this done and I have to get this done and I have to get this done, and here's all my deadlines and here's all my timelines, and if I don't, then I'm going to be very unsuccessful as a person. And it's so easy to kind of get trapped in that mindset to realize like why are we actually alive? Is it to work a 40-hour work week, to work an 80-hour work week, to make millions of dollars? Like why are we actually here? And like what is living a successful life? Which again could vary from person to person.
That's super deep.
That's pretty deep. This is the kind of shit that I think about, though.
You're just taking that to a whole nother level, Brian. There with that.
Oh yeah, no, that's.
Yeah, but I mean, it's something that
existential crisis is kicking in.
Yeah, sod the murderers in the warehouse. Now, Brian.
Yeah, there's a guy right behind. Minterly's right behind you, Jay. Minterly is right behind you. She's got an axe. And...
you know what? Right, I looked and my own reflection was in the window then because the light's on here. My own reflection was in the window, and I actually did make myself jump.
Oh my gosh! Oh no.
Yeah, I'm slightly scared. I'm worried.
I mean,
I'm so sorry.
It's true though, because most people, I think everyone at some point questions, why they're alive and what they should be doing with their life. I think that's fairly standard to being human, but I feel like very few people like really put in like the deep thought into it. Because most people just kind of go about their day, like, and they just, live their lives, and they eat, 3 meals a day, and they go to work for 8 hours, and, like, that's just, and they chill out on their weekends, like, that's just, like, the system that we have set up. And, like, that, that works for everyone. Well, I mean, it doesn't work for everyone, but it works for a lot of people, and, like, that's more or less fine. But, I mean, I think it's also good to kind of, question, your own happiness and what you should be doing, and, what you could be doing to potentially live a better, more fulfilling life, whether for you or someone else.
Yeah, and that's the thing, isn't it? It doesn't have to be fulfilling by society standards. It has to be fulfilling by your standards. What makes it worthwhile for you could be very different to what makes it worthwhile for someone else. And having the knowledge and the understanding of how that makes you feel is much better. Like a simple thing like that's been related to the dog walking and the showering, as you mentioned, Minterly. Like the whole COVID thing had me at home, and I just constantly wear like tracky bottoms, like comfortable clothes, like stuff that I wouldn't dare go to the supermarket in, but I felt completely comfortable wearing at home. And like I'm dressed like that right now, but it is 2 a.m. Or 3:31 a.m. But like having to walk the dog meant I had to put on a pair of jeans, and I have to put on a shirt, and I have to put on shoes, and instead of just like walking around in slippers or socks or whatever, like just doing those things and getting into that kind of cycle, that's massive to help me as well. Like simple things like not wearing my hat and actually brushing my hair.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like small acts of self-care.
Yeah. Sovereign says, self-help is a great start, but isn't as easy for everyone. I completely agree. Sometimes it's just easier to ask for help, being able to confide in someone. It's also easy to feel like you are burdening someone this way, but it also opens the option that they might want to talk to you about their problems. It's easy for most people to help someone else than it is to help themselves. That's totally true, too. And actually, correct me if I'm wrong, someone in chat, but I recently saw a study where, like, neurologically, one of the best things you can do for yourself is actually to do something for someone else. Like, you, like, neurologically get, like, a really good benefit from just being helpful to other people, to helping people with their problems. But yeah, I completely agree. It's hard for a lot of... It was definitely hard for me to want to talk about it. So, like, making that post was a pretty big deal for me as well, because, like, it made me realize that I had actually been dealing with a lot of mental issues, like, for the last decade, and they hadn't really manifested into something, like, really heavy until just recently. And I was like, holy crap. So, like, these were the issues that I was having before? Like, I always thought it was, like, some kind of, like, physical issue of, like, maybe I wasn't getting enough vitamin, whatever, And, like, when you start to get all these, like, really heavy symptoms, it's like, this is scary. And, like, a lot of people are like, I might die here. Like, if anybody out there that's ever had, like, a true panic attack, it's freaking frightening. Like, you actually feel like you're gonna die. Like, a lot of the symptoms are very similar to a heart attack. And it's, like, it's pretty eye-opening. So I definitely feel you there. All right.
I also think that sometimes like having a lot of introspection and deciding what you want to do with your life and defining your own happiness, like that also leads to kind of struggle. Like some people don't really think about that all that often. I feel like I may be on the spectrum, like towards the group of people that thinks about it maybe too much. And like I'm also very indecisive, so then that like just stresses me out even more. I'm like, sometimes I'm like, oh, there's no point to life, and then that's like, maybe that's my depression talking. And then sometimes I'm like, I don't know what I want out of life, and then I like get anxiety, and I'm like, oh no, this is not what I wanted. So I don't know. That's another discussion. You guys should definitely talk about that on here.
That's a deep one. That's a really deep one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to have you back on for that one.
Oh no. Maybe not me. I'll just never stop talking.
That's good content, though. I think this episode's been pretty good. And even though we haven't really necessarily touched on keyboards as much as some people might like, I think just having these kind of discussions is a big deal, and it really gets it started, because it does, like you mentioned earlier, it gets people realizing that, like, I'm not alone. Like, I have these issues, and maybe I don't have to keep them to myself. So, I mean, just getting the information out there and just being able to have open conversations without feeling like you're a piece of shit and having other people be hostile towards you because, they don't understand effectively.
Yeah, and the more people talk about it as well, the lower that stigma becomes. The easier it is for other people to talk about it, which is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's nice that, like, you guys are open talking about this. I know Alex is very open talking about this. Like, you did we did talk about, like, oh, what's the point of being in the keyboard hobby? And I think, like, something that I thought for a really long time was, like, oh, because this is a hobby, like, we shouldn't really talk about serious things. Like, it should be all lighthearted about keyboards and, like, stuff. But, when you're dealing with people, like, stuff kind of gets boring to talk about, and it gets very repetitive to talk about, and then you do come back to the community of it all, and it's like, yeah, we are all here to appreciate the things, but we're all kind of here to appreciate each other, and like this is just what some of us may be dealing with, and it's just like nice to be able to be like, yeah, they're cool keyboards, but also like we can be friends and look out for each other.
Yeah. And the great thing is, we don't have to have the same opinions to still be friends and still get on with stuff.
A lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah, everyone forgets this, but you don't have to have the same opinion to be able to get on with people and to be able to have a discussion and chat about stuff. We can like different things, guys. That's
it always reminds me of that. Have either of you ever seen the show Scrubs?
Yes.
Oh, I've watched the first episode. I couldn't watch it. I'm not really into those kinds of shows.
What? Okay. Okay. Anyways, Scrubs is one of my favorite shows, and there's a funny episode where I'm forgetting the names of these random characters, but like these two guys get in a bar fight, and they're both like Irish or something. And these two guys get in a bar fight, and like they're hitting each other or whatever, and then like one of them ends up in the hospital, and like the other guy comes to visit him the next day, and like they're just like apologizing or whatever, and they're just like, hey, like, yeah, no big deal, like it's just what it is, and like they're like friends or whatever. It's just like, it's interesting to see, like, people can, especially within this community, like so many people just argue about anything and everything. But at the end of the day, like, you got to realize, like, it's okay to have differing opinions, and like you can still be friends. And it's cool
that people are like passionate about certain like mechanics of things and like materials and like things that are very specific and might be like considered nerdy. It's just like, I think it's really cool that people are like so passionate about these things.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, and hey, the hobby would be a very boring place if we all only liked the same things. If we all only liked one keyboard and one key set, the hobby would be a very different and boring place.
It's true. It's true.
Yep.
It's absolutely true. Shout out to Ione, who's gifting 5 tier 1 subs. Thank you so much, man. This guy being too nice as usual.
He is far too nice. He's like impossibly nice.
Yeah, I think this is probably a good transition to go over to our Q&A segment. What do you guys think?
I think so. Yeah.
All right. So while we queue up some questions, we're going to talk about our sponsors for just a moment, because Top Clack does have a couple of wonderful sponsors that help us do the things that we do. But you guys can start queuing up your questions right now. You can use the @TopClack tag and ask away. You want to talk about some keyboard stuff? Ask away. You have some questions for Minterly while we have her here? Definitely feel free as well. And yeah, so just get those queued up, guys. Oh man, I was worried I had this transition wrong, but I totally have it right. Yes.
Nice.
Nice.
I was like, I thought about it before the stream. I was like, oh crap, I forgot to do the news viewer section, but it was still cropped from last week's episode, so we good.
Nice. Lucky.
Yeah, lucky. Usually I'm not quite that lucky. Usually Top Clack is just...
Wait, where's the scuffness? We usually have at least a bit of scuff.
It's still early, Jay. We can come up with something, don't worry. Anyway, starting us off this week, we have the one, the only Novel Keys. They've been here since the start for us, and they have numerous things going on as usual. If you're a fan of GMK Bento Round 2 is currently up for sale, if that's your thing. A lot of people
really like the blue alphas.
Me too. I'm glad they chose to go with that this run. Maybe you don't like ABS Cherry Profile, maybe you're an SA kind of person. Well, then SA Skywriter is also another group buy going on right now that could satisfy your tall spherical cap goodness. Of course, they are accompanying.
Only a week left on that as well.
Oh yeah, only a week left. Yeah, that one's coming up. So, desk mats for both those, of course. If maybe you're not into key sets right now, but you still need some switches, there's definitely quite a few in stock, including some of the newer ones of the Silk and Dry Novel Keys series. So these are relatively new. They're a JWK switch, and they're pretty awesome, because the Silk series in particular comes fully pre-lubed from the factory. So this is something we haven't really seen a whole lot before until more recently. So that's cool. Some of them are sold out, however. You know how we were talking about, Jay, how the Reds were still in stock? The Reds were in stock right before we started the stream.
We literally checked
wow.
Literally joining our voice chat mentally, we were checking this, and we're like, are there still some in stock? And he's like, Brian's like, yeah, I'm sure there's still
I literally just checked.
That's insane.
So now I sound stupid for trying to preach a product that's currently sold out. However, there are more on the way, as we did hear from Mike of Novel Keys last week. So thankfully more on the way, but sadly you can't get any of those right now. But fully lubed switch from the factory, 55 cents a switch. Can't really complain. There's also a dry variant, which is the same price. However, it comes without any lube. So if you're more of a DIY person, you like to lube your own switches yourself, you don't have to worry about any factory lube. Bam, that's what you got there. And of course, he has tons of other things in stock, like some of these new Desk Keys switch films, which are actually I believe these aren't actually films; they're more of a foam, which is kind of cool. I actually got some of these.
Yeah, I'm going to be
recently.
checking them out on stream this week. Finally, I have had them for a while and I haven't got around to using them, but yeah, this week on my build stream on Sunday, I'll be using them.
Nice.
They're kind of the same.
Are they kind of the same?
All film is kind of the same. There's like slight differences if you're like really paying attention, but I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I'm like, eh.
That's fair.
It's all kind of the same.
Yeah, no, that's totally a valid point. You know, if that's how you feel. Promo code is Clack, of course, all one word, and they'll get you 5% off anything in stock.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving over to our second sponsor then today, it is Kono.store. So there's a couple of things up that I just want to shout out and draw your attention to. The first is GMK Pre-Press or Pre-Press. This is still up for sale at the minute. It finishes on the 28th of August. It has made MOQ for the base kit, as far as I'm aware, but that set is really close to my heart. I've already jumped on this one, so disclaimer there. I've already jumped on this one, but do check it out if you are interested. Very interesting colorway. As well as that, there's also GMK Shoko R2, which, as Brian preferred, it does have the icon only modifiers this time round. We were arguing about this before the stream, discussing it again. Difference of opinion, right?
It's not argument when I'm always right, Jay. Let's be real.
But this is in group buy as well. Also closes on September the 15th. So just about 3 weeks left, just over 3 weeks left on Shoko Round 2. As well as that, they have all of the pre-orders that you can usually get from Kono. So if you've missed a set in the past, such as SA2600 or any of the other GMK sets, you can now join those as a pre-order, which means you'll get it just after the group buy ships. So you won't be having to wait for extras. As well as that, there's also some really, really good keyboards if you want to get people into the hobby. The Hex Gear series, the Gemini X1 and Venture are all super low-profile wireless mechanical keyboards that might be a great addition. Someone's working from home, someone you know who might be interested in keyboards, could be a great starter board for them. So definitely check those out as well.
Yeah, moving right along, we have KBDfans, who has a few things going on right now. So they have a lot of people have been waiting for the KBD 6.7 V2 Mark II and the 8X Mark II. Both of those are actually, am I totally wrong? Are they not in pre-order? I'm pretty sure I checked before the stream and they were in pre-order.
They were there. I checked because I put them on the list.
Oh man, I think our sponsors are like actually playing tricks on us this stream. Oh man, okay, so those are no longer up for pre-order, so unfortunately you can't get those. Hopefully they'll get some more in stock soon though, because those things have been selling out like hotcakes. GMK Evil Dolch is still open though, so if that's more up to your speed, there you go. One of the new arrivals that I noticed that I was kind of curious about, but I haven't actually really been able to check out yet, is the V3 TTC switches. So I know a lot of people disliked the V1s and the V2s were a little controversial as well, but I'm kind of curious what the V3 actually brings to the party. So I'm going to have to get some of those to check out, see if those have any notable improvements or not. Barring that, they still have a lot of things going on, though. They have a lot of B-stock things for people that have been kind of scrolling through and paying attention. You can get some of these B-stock cases for as low as like $49. So if you're looking for some high-profile aluminum cases and you're really on a tight budget, but you want something still pretty decent, you can get some pretty inexpensive aluminum cases from KBDfans, or non-aluminum cases, for a pretty low price point, honestly. So make sure to check that out if that's your kind of market.
Yep, and jumping over to our final sponsor of the day, it is the wonderful Leandrin at Mekanisk. Not much in stock at the moment because he's got the WT60D PCB in stock and the new Duroc Ultramarine stabilizers, his branded color. They are available, but it's worthwhile shouting out that he has got a lot of new boards coming soon. So we've seen the Clipper, and we've seen the Fial, and we've seen the Tinned all go through group buys, and I understand as well that soon there is going to be a Tinned TKL coming, as well as reruns of the Clipper and the Fial. In the new E Ultra Hot color, which is like a bright neon pink as well. So definitely looking forward to checking that out. Something to go along with my ultramarine boards.
Yeah. Also, shout out to his new Yes. I just got Leander just sent me a package with a bunch of the new ultramarine stabs. I'll probably give away one or two of the sets as well, but they're freaking awesome, man. They're awesome. Also, shout outs to his new status update page. I really like this. I really like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's freaking awesome. Just have all of your products just like with a full status of like where they are in the entire process. That's freaking awesome. Really appreciate that. All right, guys, let's get over to the Q&A, guys, and scroll back a little bit and catch up on some of these questions. But of course, keep bringing them in if you have questions for any of us or all of us. Feel free, keyboard or otherwise. see.
I think I saw one for me. Time 80 Thoughts. I don't think I could compare it to any Tankulus I've built before because it has plate foam in it, and I've never built a Tankulus with plate foam as far as I remember. But it basically like feels like a gasket. It's like very cushiony for a top mount, which is very interesting. And the sound is like very much like plate foam. Like it's like a foamed board, which I'm not a huge fan of. I'm actually planning on desoldering it and building it without the foam and trying like case foam instead. Because I personally think that, at least my preference is, the plate foam is like too dampening. Like it's like a thock that's missing the cage. It's like a thock.
Yeah, I genuinely agree. If I build a case with foam in, I feel like it doesn't have the right sound. It's not thocky, it's not poppy enough. It tends to mute it and dampen it, which is great if you're trying to build a silent or a quiet board. But if you want a board to just sound really nice, I agree. I tend not to use it.
Yeah, I totally agree.
What was the bottom like on that board? Mint, is the whole...
it's beautiful. I mean, I can...
feel free to show it off. I remember, obviously for the original Time 80, that was like
right here.
The defining feature.
I don't know if it'll focus on this.
Yeah, because I built one of the original ones, but I know that the new one's got glass in it as well. That's nice.
I think it's tempered glass, yeah, and it's glued into the bottom, and then they just have like some scripts and stuff. I don't know, it's really nice.
Okay, that's super cool because with the original run, there wasn't a covering on that clock thing, and
hands broke off. Yeah.
And man, were those things way more delicate than I thought. I broke off the tip of mine accidentally.
Oh.
And
I think there were some people on the thread asking like, oh, can it come without a clock, like, or without the cover? I think that would be.
You want the cover.
Better.
You want the cover.
I think I know now why he put that in.
Yeah, you want the cover.
You definitely want the cover. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. They were also asking, that was Bean Lover, by the way, they were also asking if there were any other TKLs you could compare it to.
It's a little bit unique in my view.
I don't think so. I also don't really remember building many Tankulus.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's still a top mount TKL. I mean, the defining feature of that board, let's be honest, is the kind of weight/accent underneath.
The plate is split in the middle.
The plate is split.
So
now?
It's like not. Okay. Yeah, it's a 2-piece plate, and each part is screwed at the top, and it's just like 4 screws at the top and then 4 screws at the bottom, and it's missing the middle section, so it's like a little flexier than a typical top mount.
It's like a half plate, but then for the half plate they put in a different material right in the middle of it.
No, it's actually 2 separate pieces. Like the top and the bottom is like 2 separate pieces.
Interesting.
And each piece is only secured on one end, which is really interesting to me. And then because of the foam that's in there, and I haven't tried it without the foam, so I don't know yet. But yeah, it's very cushiony. I don't know. I'm very bad at describing things, but yeah, it's not very stiff. Like it doesn't bite back at you when you bottom out. It kind of just sinks.
Yeah, okay, I see what you mean. So it's like 2 separate pieces of plates, and it's only held at one end, so it kind of in the middle, right? When you type.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay.
I kind of want to try one.
I have to go look at that VOD now. Yeah, that sounds pretty interesting. As well. Iwane is asking, with the official announcement of the Milkshake NK65, what other key set would each of you like to see get the same treatment from Novel Keys? A kit with matching case, switches, die sub PBT, caps, and cable.
I have an answer for this straight away. This one's easy.
Wait, let me guess. Let me guess what you're gonna say, Jay.
Go guess.
Okay. Is it Metropolis?
Nope.
Okay.
That would be good.
All right. Go ahead.
Taro.
Ah, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Taro. Imagine how good that kind of soft purple's going to look with some of the dark accents and then the yellows.
I'm
and
down
the
for
teals,
Taro.
Something else. Yeah, that would be
Purple's
amazing.
Great. Purple's a beautiful color.
Yeah. I really do think the Milkshake NK65 is a cool idea, though. That's super.
It is.
Cool.
And for $190 as well, definitely picking one up. Mike, if you're watching, you probably aren't, but if you are,
do we know? Do we know who makes the keycaps for it?
He said it's a new provider, but that's all he said. I don't know any more details than that.
Okay.
It's not the guys that, from what I understand, it's not the guys that did the vaporwave set that you had quite recently. It's something new, but I don't know who.
All right. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. That sounds really interesting. I guess. What about you, Minterly? Do you have a Novel Keys run set that you would like to see get the this treatment?
I'm not sure.
I mean, what about Bento? I guess. What about Beep's other sets? Because
Bento Bib is an amazing designer, so
yeah, he does a lot of good stuff.
His sets would look amazing.
That's a tough question. I'm trying to remember all the key sets that have run through Novel Keys now.
That is the biggest problem that I
there's
can't remember
so many, right?
which sets were specifically.
I think a lot of
really
people
worked for those out there sets as well. Those really bright, colorful sets.
That's what I was thinking.
Necessarily, like white on black. Okay, but something really cool like Tower or Milkshake. That's
Oh, Darling.
Darling could be quite good. That could be really good.
Yeah.
Let's
see. What else ran through Novel Keys? GMK Olivia. I think a lot of people would probably be interested in some kind of a rose gold case or something. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, I feel like that's kind of been a thing for a while now. But obviously, the NK65 hasn't received that treatment.
Yeah, I'm surprised there isn't been a laser one, like a whole laser themed set. I know that didn't run through Novel Keys, but like a whole laser themed. You can get the board and the keycaps and the cable and everything else laser.
To be fair, there are laser switches, laser caps, and
the laser alt.
And there is. Yeah.
There's never been a bundle though, like a big bundle of all the laser stuff. That could be quite interesting.
Hey, Laser had apparel, right?
Actually, Upa sent me his kit of Vaporwave to go on one of his boards, and I'm absolutely obsessed with that key set.
Yeah, I have it.
Amazing.
On one of the boards there. It's a TKL there with that one. I really, really like that. The pink alphas are really nice.
Yeah, that was one set that I was like, this looks nice. And then I got it, and I was like, wow, this looks nice. I should have gotten it.
Oh. Yeah, I think the one for me at the minute with I was like, damn, I didn't buy it, is Analog Dreams. I keep seeing pictures of that everywhere, and it's like,
right?
Why didn't I buy that? Why did I just not buy that? I remember having it in my car. I remember having it in a car, and I remember thinking, should I get it or not? And then, for whatever reason, I didn't. And now it's like, damn, I really want that set.
I did the similar thing. Yeah, I saw the renders, and I was like, it's not really for me. And then I saw people taking pictures of it, and I was like, damn it.
Regrets.
Damn it.
And now it's like $400 or whatever the typical Mech Market price is, and I'm like, oh, that hurts.
I haven't bought I haven't bought an aftermarket key set in so long, just because there's it's just too expensive for most of them.
I stopped buying aftermarket. I just can't justify. It hurts me.
Yeah.
Next question came up from Hugo Keys. He didn't tag us, but he did ask a question. He said, when are we having him on? Hugo, if you want to come on the show, just drop Brian or I a message and we'll have a chat.
Yeah, DM me and have a chat. Let me know what you're thinking.
Slide in the DMs.
Yep.
Slippity slide.
Easy peasy. I like it when they slide right into my DMs.
That's weird.
We actually, sometimes we're lewd, but not usually. Bobby McBobby, we actually skipped this question. Bobby McBobby is asking, any news on the new GMK retooled stabs? So obviously, I did an interview with Living Speed Bump of GMK not that long ago, and one of the things that a lot of people were asking are the specs on the new stabs. They want to know about the new stabs, and we did get word that there are some brand new stabs coming. So. But I have not received any new information aside from that. So,
no, I think they're still in progress. The last I heard on them, it was aiming to be towards back end of this year, but no guarantees or anything else. It could be.
Yeah,
I'm interested in new design.
So they're not actually going to be a retooled. They're going to be a new design. They're gonna the not straight from Cherry design, but I think they're supposed to still work on the same platform, because obviously that'd be the biggest thing with stabs, right? You need something that is, retroactive. You need something that's going to be working for everything in the past, present, and future.
And Andy said that. He said that they were going to fit with the old
Yep.
stab positioning on PCBs. They wouldn't change that. So it'd be interesting to see how it goes. Yeah.
Yeah. Uncool Dude is asking, what are your thoughts on die sub PBT key sets with relation to shrinkage and inconsistency? I've heard that finicky sets, such as the recent port set, use a 5-sided process that can result in the colored keys being smaller/warped. Do you have any experience with sets like this?
I've got Infinity Gran or Graham here. But yeah, PPT does shrink. Like the whole process for doing die sub and for PBT as itself, like the plastic does shrink as it cools. So this is why a lot of PBT sets have issues with warping and stuff like that, which can be overcome. But yeah, like the way Infinity does it, their die sub process is to do all sides of the keycap apart from the base. So it does come across the top and it goes all down the sides as well. But yeah, I mean, if you give me a second, I'll get the set and I'll show it on stream.
Yeah, sure. I actually have my my Gran on the way. I just got tracking for that like yesterday or today or something. Looking forward to that.
Nice.
Here
I think that'll look really nice.
Infinity Gran.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
that does look really nice.
That looks really good on the...
Lange picked well.
Man, the white iron 165, like with any
How
key
beautiful
set,
is this
with
board,
any
right?
key set, like every time, it doesn't even matter what key set I see it with, it's always looking
White
really
looks good with everything. Like, that's what I tell people. Like,
Wait,
don't even go
till I
black.
polish
White is the cleanest.
Because I'm gonna sandblast it and polish
I
it.
want to
nice
polish
and
mine too.
Yeah, that's
It's a big bottom though. It's really thick.
It is, yeah. So
Really
so I've got
thick.
like a little sandblasting cabinet in the warehouse. I'm going to sand it all down, get all of the dirt and grime and stuff of it. So I've already taken off like the clear coating on it, so it's starting to get fingerprints and stuff. But I want to actually polish it, and then I'll get the buffing wheel out and I'll polish it with a few different grades of sandpaper first, and buff it to like a really high polished shine. That's the plan.
Have you seen Urban's polished bottom?
Yes.
It's
So that was kind
beautiful.
of what inspired me to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was sharing that, and he keeps shouting shiny copper at me in like 5 minutes. But yeah, that's the plan. That's to do with mine as well.
At least he's not screaming brass anymore.
Yeah, it's now copper.
I'm down for shiny copper. I like it a lot. Actually,
Shiny
I had planned on doing that. I just haven't gotten around to it either.
Copper is the new brass in this community.
Well, the interesting thing about the way about copper is like when it goes like patina, it kind of takes on like greenish tinge. Like you've all seen the Statue of Liberty, that's made of copper. You can kind of see that's what it goes like over time. But what's really interesting is if you shine copper first and then let it get a patina, like the way the green and the patina develops over time is really quite interesting. It can come in like it's almost like patches the way it comes through. It doesn't go even. So it looks even cooler in my opinion.
That's actually what I wanted to do. Like I wanted to shine it, let it patina a bit, and then like seal it so it's like half
exactly.
shiny.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So that's what I want to do for mine.
Yeah,
So leave
I like
it for
copper
6 to
better.
8 months and then do it. Yeah. Copper's a great material.
Because brass doesn't really patina nice. It just gets kind of grimy and brown.
See, I don't mind that. Like I think it does look nice, does brass when it's patinaed well. Like the bottom of my pearl, I should take some pictures of that because the way that my pearl has gone on the base, it's like the nicest brass I have on anything. But yeah, I tend to moving away from brass quite a lot. I'm preferring copper for stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like brass patina. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
I don't like shiny brass as well. That's my thing. I prefer patina brass to shiny brass.
I love shiny brass.
I'm with Minterly on this one. I'm not sold on the patina. I've seen some really cool patina, but like not like natural patina, like patina that you have to force in one way or another. Like I remember, I don't know if Pernicious Pony is still in the community, but I remember he had like a custom brass plate where he took a blowtorch to it, and it had like a really cool effect. And
that's really cool.
that was super cool. And I know some people like have like this like egg or vinegar approach.
Yeah, Chris Wise used to do eggs.
I remember that. Yeah, and like you can get some really cool effects like if you go out of your way and you put in the effort. And I think the people that do that, I think that's super cool. But I think like just like the natural kind of patina that occurs in a lot of the brass that we have in the community, I'm not a big fan. I much prefer the shinier brass.
That's fair.
But with that said, I'm also not the biggest fan of brass anyways. I've kind of moved away from that in this hobby. I'm more into
just remember, if you're going to force some sort of patina or aging or rusting, don't use your wife's oven because that costs money in the end. It also means you can't go in the kitchen without your eyes burning.
Appliances are expensive.
Yeah, right. Ours were integrated as well, and we had to have like a professional come and take it out.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's even worse.
Yeah.
Shout outs to the Raging Asian for his tier 1 sub 29 months in a row. Thanks, Ray. I appreciate that. It says El Pago. That's kind of an inside joke. Oh, man. All right. Uncool Dude says, don't forget the Statue of Liberty is copper. Oh, man.
I mentioned that, didn't I? I'm sure I mentioned that.
Yeah, you did.
I feel like that's something you've brought up before, yeah. All right. Q&A question, oddly short today. I guess if anyone has any last-minute questions before we head off, make sure to get those in now using the @TopClack tag so we can see them a little bit easier. But yeah, let us know.
I like the green on copper. I think that's what I like about the copper patina.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Yeah, it just looks good. And you can get different shades of green as well, depending on how long you leave it. One of the things I've always wanted to do is, there's a building in the city where I'm from, in Leeds, and they actually built the panels of the building out of stainless steel and the roof out of copper, and then they just left it. Like, they didn't treat it or anything. So all of the sides of the building have got this kind of rust look, and then the roof of it has gone patinaed green over time. And just like going past it every now and again and just seeing how it's developed, that's been like a huge influence on me. I'd love to do something like that with my own house or something like that. The wife and I are actually talking about moving and buying some land and building a house from scratch. And if we do that, I think I'll definitely need to incorporate like a copper roof onto the garage or something. I don't know. Definitely need to have a look at that.
Nice. 21 Solo is asking Minterly, how often do you rotate boards?
Whenever I take the keycaps off of them. And then I bring another one in until I put them back. Like, whenever I do builds and I'm like, oh, I don't have a keycap on set, I'll just rip them out of the board I have in front of me. And then I'm like, okay, let me just pull my other keyboard out. I don't know, I don't plan it. Like, I know, I think, was it you, Brian, that mentioned that, like, you try to switch out your keyboard, like, every week or something?
I switch usually at least once a week. At least.
Okay.
I try to keep a rotation going, because, like, a lot of people are like, oh, what's your favorite keyboard? What's your end game? Like, what's your premier configuration? And for me, it's like, that's not how I approach the hobby. Like, I just like to use, I like variety. Like, it's same in my life. Like, I like variety. So, like, I swap out boards pretty regularly. Not that I dislike the ones. Like, I don't swap them out because I don't like using them. I swap them out just, you know, as a rotational basis.
I mean, you built them, you paid money, like, you should use them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Quick question for both of you guys from me then. Do you guys have any boards that you own personally that you built and then never used?
Built and never used. Like, literally built like, and never used.
After the stream, you might have used it on the stream, done a typing test, whatever, but then it's never actually made it into your rotation set on your desk for like a day or a week or whatever.
Like all of my boards except the ones that I use.
Actually,
I've got so many boards that have never made it onto my desk.
Yeah.
I would say for me, no. Like, for me, after I build a board, as long as it's like functional, I use it immediately, and I use it for at least several days after I build it. However, I can think of one instance, and I looked over and I saw this, and this was sitting there. I have a Prionic here that I did build, I believe, on one stream years ago. I've had this for quite a while. And I built this, and I just didn't use it afterwards, because Ortholydier and I have trouble getting along.
Yeah.
And I keep meaning to rebuild it and, like, really give it, like, a good try, but it's tough, man. It's tough for me to want to use a layout that I'm so unfamiliar with and, like, actually try to type to people, like, as a normal board, you know?
Yeah, like because I was just thinking about this the other day. Like, there's a handful of boards, and my wife was here, and she was doing some work in the office, like printing out orders and stuff. And she was like, "Have you ever used all of these boards that you've got?" And some of the ones on the wall behind me, and she like went through them one by one and asked me. I was like, "There's like some that have seen a ton of use, and then there's like a couple that they've not been used after the build stream." So there's like a box just where is it? Where there's a box there that's got my Matrix Noah in. I haven't used it since I built it on stream. Just haven't touched it. The Jane, which is there, I haven't touched it since I put that build in it. So I've got like 2 builds for that. I've got one that's got linears, and then I've got PCB and plate that's got tactile switches in. The tactile build, which is in it right now, as soon as I put that in there, I haven't used it since. Just literally haven't typed on it since. And yeah,
that's kind of funny because somebody actually asked you if you like did anything to your Noah to make it sound better.
Oh, no, I haven't. I put it in the box after the build stream, and it's just sat in the box since then. I haven't touched it since.
God.
I haven't even. I don't even know if I took the keycaps off of it. It might even still have the keycaps on. Just haven't touched it. Yeah.
Man. What a flex! I built this Jane, haven't used it.
Yeah, I don't mean right? Like, I just got this Jane sitting over there.
I'm kidding.
I never used it. So many people would like kill for that board.
Moving on.
This is why I feel bad about it. I feel guilty.
Yeah.
Pause that. All right. Moving on.
That's how you appreciate the hobby, though. So.
Gatterod, we have a user named Gatterod in chat, is asking, what do you think of all the and pros on the mechanical keyboard Reddit? I have no problem with it. I think if you're in the mechanical keyboard hobby and you have a mechanical keyboard that you want to show off, I think that's totally fine. I'm not a big fan of the gatekeeping, like, oh, and pro is shit, like you have to get a Korean custom, or like you have to get a TGR. There's nothing wrong with it. Like most of us start with like an OEM board. Like that's just generally how it goes. And I don't think there's any shame in that. And I think people that I don't know how much of a problem it is these days because I'm not really on RMK as much as I used to be. But I remember it used to be kind of an issue where someone would post like their Cooler Master or like their Corsair board, and like it would just get downvoted to hell, and the comments would just be like, "Get a real board, shithead," you know, like you got to get a custom or whatever. And it's like, is that really what the mechanical keyboard hobby is all about? Because like I feel like there's a little bit more to it than that. And I think, you know, if you have a mechanical keyboard and you're enjoying it, like, why do you need more? Like, if you want to search out more and seek out more, awesome. Heck yeah, like dive deeper into the hobby. But like, if you're happy with your Corsair keyboard and you want to show it off, like, you can let people enjoy things. It turns out it's crazy, but it's true.
Yeah, you're not a bad person because you've got an AND Pro, and you're not a good person because you've got the new super cool Time 80 with that bit of glass on the bottom. You know?
Yeah, Minterly, you're not super cool because you have the time.
Yeah, she's super cool because
you're super cool for other reasons, but not that one.
It's okay, I don't have to be cool. It's fine.
Rescued myself there. Yeah.
If you're not cool, then Jay and I are in a lot of trouble.
That's nice.
Least cool streamer. Yeah.
I already know that I'm the least cool streamer. I've already made my peace with it. 10 Peaches is asking a question for Jay. Have you done any modification to the Noah you have built the other day to make it sound better?
No, I like I just said, it's just been sat in the box since the stream. I put it back in the box after the stream, and it hasn't moved since. I don't even know if I took the keycaps off of it. I can't even remember what keyset I used for it, but like I was just like the look of the board. I really, really enjoy, and the color of it, that coral color, was great.
The coral's cool.
I just couldn't get past how bad it sounded, and like there is ways to fix it, and I know there is ways to fix it. I just haven't had the motivation to go back to it yet, and I will at some point. But until I find that motivation, I haven't had time. There's been other things that have been more important to me.
For sure. Iwan is asking, can someone tell me how much I need to bribe Jay for a J01 LE?
I don't take bribes. Just ask, and I'll say yes or no. Simple as that.
There you go.
Quality toe bean photos only.
Quality. Hey man, sometimes you touch the beans, you get the means. So
wow, that's meaningful, man.
That's one of my favorite cat sayings.
That was beautiful.
Unfortunately, I didn't come up with it, but I do absolutely love it. Peter Poppins is asking, what is your favorite way to store artisan keycaps?
Oh, I have a drawer that I just put like trays in. So I have like 8 or 9 trays in this drawer. Hold on, let me grab one of the trays out. So I just put them in these little cases, and then they go in.
You have cases.
Trays. And then they
He's
go
way fancier than us.
The drawers are perfect size to like fit 3 of these across, and 9 deep. So the drawers like kind of full, but that's the first 2 that I can get my hands on. But yeah, I put them in there, put them in the drawer, and then when I open the drawer up, they're just all nicely there, and I can just take them out as I need them.
Yeah, I have all of my artisans stacked on a GMK tray because I don't have any cases yet.
I have like a little like plastic container that's not meant for artisans. It's meant for like arts and crafts stuff. But I just put all my artisans in there. However, I am curious because I do want to get like one of those fancier artisan cases. What do you guys suggest for that?
Well, the ones I have are really cheap. They're I can't remember what they're called, but they're on Taobao. They're like, I don't know, like $20 a piece or something. But there are some really, really nice ones out there that have like UV protective glass over the top and stuff like that. I think Robot Candy Company have had some really nice ones recently. Mr. Petrov's had one that I really like the look of. So yeah, there are some really good premium options out there, and I think I actually kind of want to do my own premium one as well, something that I can put quite a lot of.
If you do that, can you like make it at least 100, and I definitely will buy one.
Well, that's what I think, because I was doing a count. So I think these hold 36, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Because my problem is that I haven't come across a case that's big enough for my whole collection. So I've been like,
well, I don't think I'd fit my whole collection. So I've got 9 times 36, whatever that is.
That's a lot.
Plus others that are lying around as well. So. But yeah, like 100 would be nice. I could put 100 in one at a time. That'd be really nice. Yeah.
324. Try to do the math.
Thanks, Brian. I wasn't going to try and do the math at.
I wasn't either.
Yeah.
I took the easy route and just did 36 times 10 and then subtracted 36.
Yeah.
Because I'm that lazy.
But yeah, I want like a really big artisan case. But yeah, maybe I should get into Fusion and get one sorted out and. See if we can not.
I'm down for one.
I'm down for one as well.
I'll reach out to Salvin and I'll see if he'll do some machine. I'll get some nice tempered glass for the top, make it UV resistant, and yeah, we could do something.
That sounds nice.
That should be a dead easy project. That should be like a really easy project.
Like magnet closures or something. I don't know.
Oh, now you're talking. Yeah, like a magnet.
Just to like keep the lid on, because I know I don't know which one it is, but there's this one that like comes with a banderole. But it would just be nice if everything just like was, closed. And then like the banderole would just be for like extra security while you're traveling to bring your collection to a meetup or something. But yeah. Now someone's saying do it in solid copper, like patinaed copper artisan case.
You need one
artisan case.
Are there any that they all kind of double as
a holding a lot of artisans, and I'm pretty sure the artisans will still cost more than the case at that point because artisans are a lot.
Yeah,
I think it's safe to say that most people in the market for a premium case to hold their artisans have enough money to spend on the case to hold their artisans.
That's probably true.
Generally speaking.
I'm going to get on this. This is going to be a little project of mine now to try and come up with a nice artisan.
Yes, please. I have been waiting for someone to make one, actually.
Cool. Well, I'll if I make a prototype, Mint, I'll send it to you to test out first.
Okay, I mean, it's a box, and I'm going to put my artisans in it. I don't know how much, like, I'll be like, fancy box. I don't know.
Jay, it doesn't work. It's crap. Yeah, no,
Jay, my artisan doesn't fit in it.
Gio is asking, who is your favorite mod and why is it me?
We have mods?
I'm pretty sure Iwade is the best mod, right? Although he doesn't say best, he just says favorite.
Oof! Favoritism. It's okay, I have favorites too.
It's hard not to prefer Iwade when he does so much.
I feel attacked again.
You should feel attacked, Gio. That's okay. I still love you though. You don't have to be a good mod for me to love you. Speaking of Iwade, he has our next question for all three of us, actually. If you could only eat one meal for dinner for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh, man.
I think I gotta go with sushi.
How specific does it have to be?
There's like cheaty answers to this, because you could say pizza and then have whatever topping you wanted on the
or like
pizza.
soup.
Cheaty answers, so yeah.
Like how specific?
I think for the sake of this question, we have to assume hyper specific.
Okay.
I was hoping you were going to say really broad, not specific.
Well, I mean, if it's broad, like, what's the point of even asking the question? Because you could just skirt around it, right?
Yeah, because you could like just say, "Oh, I only ever want to eat Indian cuisine" or whatever. Yeah. I get it. Okay. Man, just one meal.
I would have a sushi bowl with salmon and seaweed salad.
That's really good.
And mangoes.
That's what I'm thinking too. Some kind of sushi or like raw fish, like sashimi or crudo preparation.
Oh, okay.
With
See, I'm a
rice.
slightly different train. I'm thinking like a nice bowl of pho with maybe some pork in there or something like that. That's kind of where I'd be going at.
I could probably do pho. I could probably do almost anything Vietnamese. I'm a really big fan of Vietnamese food. Such a big fan.
Vietnamese food's good. Yeah.
But it has to be good pho. Like I've actually gotten tired of pho during like quarantine and things because I've ordered pho and it's just not the same as like hot ready pho at a restaurant.
No, yeah. Every time I've gotten pho delivered, it's not like it's bad, but it's just you're right. It's just not the same.
Yeah, it just doesn't hit right.
In the UK, there's nowhere, or certainly near me, that delivers pho. So you have to either make it or you have to go out for it. So I've not had it in like maybe 8 months now, and I'm ready for a good bowl of pho.
Yeah, me too. And K barbecue. I miss K barbecue.
Yes.
Oof. Man, I miss going out to eat. I'm like getting pretty hungry here.
I'm sorry. This always happens every stream.
Does it turn into a food stream for you always?
Yes.
35 minutes.
Okay,
McDonald's opens in 35 minutes. It's 2 minutes away from me, so maybe that's what I'm gonna have to do to stop my tummy rumbling.
Yeah, we usually get at least one food question during Q&A. It's pretty par for the course.
It's usually Lang though. It's usually Lang with like really extra
food questions.
Yeah.
True. You Like It is asking, I'm assuming this is a question for you, Jay. How many white LEs will there be in the raffle?
For JO1, 20. There'll be a few friends and families on top of that, but I'm being really open about that. Like, some people deserve one, so they're getting one irrespective of outside of the group buy. But yeah, there'll be 20 limited edition ones in the group buy. They're publicly available.
Wave Depth is asking, what time, Jay? What time? You know what I'm talking about.
Everyone wants the J01.
I don't know what he's talking about.
I don't know what he's talking about either.
You have no idea how frequently penguin droppings is like J01, and I'm like,
I do. I do. I haven't seen my DMs, but yeah, I have.
I know she talks about it all the time.
Do you know she's literally the only reason I actually brought it back for a group buy? I don't know if she's
That's
ever
hilarious.
said that, but she is. Like, she. I wouldn't say it was nagging, but there was.
I thought she got lucky that you wanted to do it again.
Well, she did because she convinced me to do it again. I think that was. But like, I was like, the only way I'm redoing it is if I redesign it. And I worked with James, and we got it redesigned. And I'm actually using the board right now. It's here. Here it is. The cable's a bit short. But yeah, like, yeah, she's the reason it happened. So. If anyone hates it, blame her. If anyone loves it, say thank you to her.
I mean, I really liked it, except for the building process, because the gaskets were a little funny the first time through. But I've heard they're fixed now.
Yeah, the good news is the gaskets are all self-adhesive now, so they stick to the case now. So yeah,
that's
much easier.
Nice. That's really nice. I had like a meltdown. I was like, I put the gasket in, and it's like the shifter won't return, and I took it all apart, cut off like 1 millimeter, and then it worked, and I was like, oh my god.
Well, to be fair, the one that you built was a prototype, and like
yeah,
it was like 50.
I mean, the board was nice. It was just like, I like that was also like when I first started doing builds, and like I didn't really know Upas that well back then, and I was like, I fucked up his prototype board, and he is going to cancel me.
No, it'll be cool.
So yeah. But it worked out. I'm excited to see the revisions.
Russ is asking, what is your favorite board that you never got? It's a good question.
So I do have one now, but there was a board that was an answer to this for a long time, and I don't have another good answer. But it was the Duck TCV3. I didn't have one for the longest time, and I was really regretting about it. But now I do have one. No, wait, I have one. The HB85. I really want one of those, and I can't ever get one. And you've got one, Brian, and it depresses me that you've got one.
That is like the most supremely underrated board I've ever used in my life.
It's amazing. Like, genuinely, it's so good.
I don't understand how the board feels and sounds as good as it does. It makes like no sense. But yeah, that is quite a board.
Yeah, HB85. There you go. That's my answer to that one. I don't have one, and I want one.
For me, I don't really have like a unique fun answer because like for me it's a popular board. I want a number 160. And I haven't really been able to like afford to enter a raffle recently, but like I'm hoping for an upcoming one I can definitely have the funds to spare.
And then you have to win the raffle.
But then I have to win the raffle. Yes, you're right. But I can at least start like entering them. So I could set some money aside, like start entering, and be like, okay, I missed this raffle. Time for the next one. What about you, Minterly? Do you have a board the board that got away?
I don't know if I have one.
That's fair.
Like I feel like I don't know. I don't think I have one. I think I just haven't really like tried a lot of different things. Also, like I feel like the more keyboards I try on stream, I don't know if you guys have experienced this. Like the more keyboards I try, the more they all are kind of the same. And like I know when I'm actively using it, I'm like, oh, I like this, I like this, I like this. And then I like kind of all the memories of the boards kind of muddle in my brain. And then, yeah, it's like very hard for a keyboard to stand out now. And I can't recall something that I'm like, oh, dang, I really wish I got one of these.
I think that's pretty fair. I mean, this hobby, let's be real, like a lot of this hobby, especially like the higher, like more enthusiast tier people in the hobby are really just splitting hairs, right? Like you're nitpicking the smallest differences in feel and sound. And, you know, and sure, sometimes it's a larger difference and sometimes it's a smaller difference, but at the end of the day, like that's what a lot of this community is at the highest level, is just, you know, discussing these really
like
minute
a little bit more
differences.
harsh of a typing sound, a little bit less like this sound is like tweaked to be a little more clacky, a little more thocky, a little louder, a little quieter.
Yep, exactly. Trying to scroll through some more questions here. Kakan's asking Jay what kind of biscuit, or actually he says busket.
Busket. I don't know what a busket is. Biscuit. What's this for? What kind of biscuit?
I have no idea.
Like, I don't even know what that question means. Like, biscuit in the UK is very different to biscuit in the US. Because a biscuit in the UK is so biscuit in the UK is more like a cookie. Yeah, so we call them biscuits.
And you guys call American biscuits scones, right?
Yeah, they're not quite the same, but they're very similar. Yeah, they're not quite the same.
Gotcha.
But yeah. We have scones or scones depending on where you're from.
What would you call it, like an American biscuit? Like a southern.
Like, we don't really
biscuit?
have a direct analog. Like a scone is the closest, because we do like have cheese scones and things like that as well. But yeah, there isn't a direct equivalent. I don't think. But the really interesting thing here in the UK is that there are different schools of thought on how you should put things on a scone. So there's we put like a jam, which you guys have called jelly, or like a fruit preserve on there, and we put cream on there as well. But the order in which you put those on, whether you put cream first or jam first, is very regionally distinctive as well.
Clotted cream, right? That's pretty common.
Yeah, clotted cream. Yeah.
Nice. I like Glendale says, "What? Scones are scones. American biscuits are fat bread." And that's the best comment I've seen all day. It's the best comment I've seen all day.
They're not the same. It's like the closest analog is probably, you would say that is a scone, is it? But it's not the same. It's not.
Gatteron in chat is asking, when did Minterly join Top Clack? Haven't been on here for a while. Minterly is on as a guest today. Yeah.
And then I'm getting fired.
And then you'll probably get rehired at some point. It's just how we do things, don't worry.
The rotating cast.
Oh, man. Let's see. Gio's asking, Brian, when are you moving out of the white void and getting some decorations? I need to get some... So I've actually finally been getting around to like organizing my office. So it's certainly not quite as much of a mess as it was, but I'm definitely going to be putting up some things behind. So I apologize. I know a lot of people out there are like, why is your wall bare? And I'm like, because I'm a lazy piece of shit half the time.
Because you're the star of the show, not your wall.
Wow. Okay,
Obviously.
Wow.
That is so wholesome. I absolutely love it.
Wow.
Yeah, take that, Gio. Get out of here. What's wrong with you? Oh man.
Clotted cream sounds good. I want to try it.
I've never had clotted cream.
Clotted cream is really good.
But every time I see it, I'm like, that looks nice.
Yeah, it's really good. One of the things I actually like to make is clotted cream ice cream. Like if I find some downtime and I have time to make anything at home, food-wise, it's making my own homemade clotted cream ice cream, and that is just so good. It's like so good.
Cream. Okay,
like you get like a warm bit of pie, and you put some clotted cream ice cream with it. You haven't tried it. It's like so good.
All right, I'm on my way. Oh wait, no, I can't travel.
Yeah, COVID. We don't.
COVID exists.
Yeah, I don't think like we're even allowed to enter your country.
No, I don't think you can come in.
No, quite a few countries are straight up denying the U.S. access.
Yep.
Which is very, very fair, very valid.
Oh yeah,
I was going to say something else then, but that would be even more of a kick because I'm going to say I'd post you some, but then you've got all the problems with the postal service as well.
Oh,
yeah.
That'd probably be bad.
Let's not get into that because that's just a topic that's just way too depressing
unto itself. Sad topic. Yeah.
Yeah. Geo says we all know Jay is the real star. I know. I'm just kind of here. I'm Jay's sidekick at this point. Oh man. Penguin asking, when is Minterly this wholesome? When she's on Top Clack, obviously.
I'm so wholesome, obviously.
It's true. Oh man. All right, looks like
top snacks. Wait, I like that.
Do we need a top snacks segment? Do we need a new banner? Top snacks.
We should, right? We should.
Top snack. Do we spell snack with 2 C's? Is that what all the hip cool non-boomers are doing these days?
That is how you don't be a boomer. Yeah.
2 or 3.
Says UK bread pudding is interesting as well. So, do you guys not have bread and butter pudding in the US?
Bread and butter pudding? We definitely have bread pudding.
That it is bread pudding.
Yeah, bread pudding is. I think it's a lot more of a southern thing out here. Like most southern restaurants that I've been to have it.
Oh.
Yeah, bread and butter pudding's like a huge thing here. Like, it's really common.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyways, we could probably talk about food for eternity, but at 2.5 hours, we should probably consider wrapping things up here. So
it's hard for guys. Well, I don't know if we keep going for another 32 minutes. I can go straight to McDonald's and eat food. That's really bad. I hate McDonald's, but like,
my gosh.
Yeah, I'm really hungry right now.
I can hear my stomach now, and I'm like, I need to go get some food here.
Nope. So, I'm also.
It's time. It's time for dinner, guys. Or I guess in Jay's case, really early breakfast.
Yeah, breakfast.
A late night snack.
It's not even like a midnight snack either because it's like 5 hours past midnight.
That's true.
Oh, Bean Lover is proposing top 3 snacks for all of our guests. That'd be cool.
That's a cool idea.
Back in the really old days, a lot of people probably don't remember this, but the ancient days of Top Clack, we used to ask our guests if they preferred pancakes or waffles. That was like our signature.
Oh, wow.
We should bring that back.
It was pretty silly. Yeah, the problem is like 99% of people prefer waffles.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, maybe not 99%, but almost every guest preferred waffles over pancakes. Huey and I, because back when Huey, Man of Interest, was a host on the show, we preferred pancakes rather. So like we were always trying to promote pancakes, and all the guests were like, waffles, gotta be waffles.
I like pancakes.
All right, well, you're bucking the trend, and we appreciate you for it.
Waffle, pancake. Is that not a doable thing?
So like you sandwich a waffle between 2 pancakes?
Yeah, like a waffle pancake sandwich.
Now you're speaking the American language, Jay.
I feel like it'd be better the other way around.
Oh, maybe.
That's true.
I'm not a connoisseur of American breakfast yet, because I was genuinely surprised when I came over to the States for Seattle last year, and Starston and a couple of other people took me out for breakfast one morning. I don't think you were there, Brian. I think you slept in actually, but we went out for breakfast, and I had chicken and waffles for breakfast. It was like,
oh yeah, that's
what magic is this? Chicken for breakfast? Like,
did you like it?
I did. I enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was like chicken in like a crispy breadcrumb that was kind of a little bit spicy, with then just waffles and fruit and all sorts of stuff. And it was genuinely,
I'm
like
very hungry now.
Eat every day because I would end up like the size of a house. But genuinely, it was like eye-opening. Like, you guys do breakfast in a way that we don't here in the UK. Like here in the UK, it's like fry some sausages, fry some bacon, fry some bread, fry some eggs, fry everything, and then put it on a plate and eat it.
It's interesting because I would think that like America would be like the fatty fried food breakfast kind of place. It's interesting to hear that the UK is a lot more about everything fried.
Yeah, like a traditional breakfast, but we don't do it like every day. Like a fry up is like a once a month kind of thing for most people. Like if that, but yeah.
Grendel says bread. This is why we are fat.
chicken and
man.
waffles endgame. Like I couldn't do it like every day, but chicken and waffles once, maybe twice a month for breakfast, like it was eye opening.
You could do it every day.
Really good, and like it was so cheap as well. Like the place we went was huge. I think we went there for dinner actually a couple of days later. I don't know if you remember, Brian. Like on the last day, I think it was the last meal we went there as well.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, that place was awesome. I forgot exactly what I had, but it was delicious.
Someone had that mac and cheese side, which I stole, and it was delicious. It was amazing. But yeah, that restaurant was pretty good. It was so cheap as well. Like the whole breakfast thing was like $10 or something. Like it was amazingly cheap.
We had some good food that
huge
weekend.
Pile of chicken and waffles. Yeah.
Oh my gosh! All right, we need to stop talking about food.
$10 for breakfast is really cheap.
Yeah, it wasn't expensive.
Yeah.
It was like really cheap.
Yeah.
Noxygen coming in as soon as we're ending, saying, "I'm not late, you're late," with a Twitch Prime sub. Thanks for the sub, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
All right. Well, with all this food in mind, I think we should all head out and eat. I know a lot of you out there are probably hungry as well. So we're gonna wrap it up today. So I hope you guys all appreciated the show. I know I definitely appreciated you guys coming out to watch. It was a really good show. I thought we discussed a lot of good things. What do you guys think? Any closing thoughts?
I thought it was really, really good. It was nice to talk and be open about some of the topics we picked up on today. So yeah, thoroughly enjoyed that. And in terms of upcoming streams, check out on Sunday because I'll be building the FLX Virgo, which is kind of like an Alice style TKL, which I'm really, really excited to build.
Ooh, that's fancy.
Nice.
Yeah, I actually really appreciated this. Thank you so much for having me on, actually. It's really amazing that you guys are willing to talk about mental health, so thank you so much.
Yeah, and shield your content as well, Minterly. What have you got coming up?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah, post your link in chat.
I'll get the Twitch.
Probably will be doing something keyboard related on Saturday. I haven't decided yet. I have like a few builds queued up, but I can't decide if I should do like a client build or rebuild the time, so I'm still deciding. I'll probably decide the day of. And then I'm actually gonna be running SA Bliss again next month on the 15th of September.
Nice.
That'll probably make a lot of people happy.
Yeah, I was gonna wait for Cat to like deliver and stuff because I really like Cat, but then I like saw the aftermarket prices and like base kits were going for like $400 and like kits were going for like $700. I was like, this hurts me.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna run it for now, and then I'll like deal with Cat when it comes.
All right, guys. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. And Minterly, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure, as usual. And
who are you raiding?
I was just looking to see who is live that we can raid. We gotta try to get in the habit of raiding someone every time we get off here now.
Merlin is live.
Merlin is live, but I don't think we've raided him yet. So we have we
should do Merlin.
We should do Merlin this week. Okay, we'll do Merlin this week. Let me find him on the list here. All right, here you go. We're gonna I think we rated him last week or the week before. I think we try to mix it up every week.
A lot of keyboard builders. It's actually amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome. You can get on like you can get on Twitch almost any time of day these days and like watch someone build a keyboard.
Not in the mornings.
All right.
I don't think.
I'm gonna start doing my build streams early in the morning then.
I'd be down for that.
Literally here in the EU, anytime I go on Twitch, like between 8 AM here and 10 PM here, there is always someone streaming. It's crazy.
Yeah, we'll do Keone next time. I think if he's live, we'll do Merlin this time because we keep almost doing Merlin and then not doing it. So we'll go to Merlin this time.
He's such a cool dude.
Merlin's awesome. Yeah. So we're gonna go over there. We're gonna say some wholesome things. We're gonna tell him how delightful his hat looks. Because he's freaking dedicated, man. It's summer right now, and it's in the middle of August, and he's still wearing this freakishly hot hat.
You should ask to see his staff as well. You should ask to see his wizard staff.
Yeah, ask to see his wizard staff. He does have a wizard staff, and it's still
I'm not like
it's keyboard related too, if I recall. Like it actually has switches in it or something.
Related. He has a keyboard related wizard staff, so you should ask to see that.
Yeah, ask to see his wizard staff. It's good stuff. Anyways, rating starting now. So thank you guys so much for watching, and hopefully you guys had a good time.